Magical Pokémon Urban System. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 51, Nine-Tailed Fox Bloodline. Woo. Master, help me. An old witch is trying to catch me. Help. Xiaobe said in panic. Hehe. Little kitty, don't run. I have fish to eat here. This is the favorite of cats. Shilinfei said with a smile. Ah. You are the cat. I'm the divine beast white tiger. But if you don't chase me, I will eat your fish reluctantly. Woo woo woo. Xiaobe said with drool. Do you want to eat? If you want to eat, stop. Shilinfei suddenly turned around and ran back. Xiaobe, who was running around the sofa, fell into Shilinfei's arms. Woo woo woo. Help. I'm going to be caught. Master, help. Xiaobe kept struggling. Little kitty, come, eat fish. Shilinfei handed a golden little fish to Xiaobe and said, Humph. Don't think that I can forgive your offense if you give me fish. Woo woo. It smells so good. I want to eat it. Xiaobe stared at the fish in front of him and said proudly, Hey, Liu, you're awake. This little kitten is so cute. Where did you get it from? Shilinfei finally found Liu and asked Xiaobe, who was eating fish. I picked this guy up. Liu made the same excuse again. Who is so hateful that he actually threw away such a cute little kitten. It's so inhumane. Little kitten, I will make delicious food for you every day in the future, okay? Shilinfei first angrily rebuked the unknown bastard, and then instantly turned from anger to joy, and looked at Xiaobe. Women are really fickle animals. Liu sighed in his heart. He didn't dare to say this directly, otherwise he would be in trouble. Fei, don't tease him. Let's go. I'll take you to see the surprise. Liu said. Surprise. Okay. Little kitten, eat slowly first, and I'll come to play with you later. Shilinfei said to Xiaobe, who was eating voraciously. Woo woo woo. So delicious. Woo woo woo. Unfortunately, Xiaobe was just eating by himself and didn't bother to pay attention to Shilinfei. Liu, what surprise do you want to give me? You can tell me now. Shilinfei asked curiously. Well, look what this is. Liu took out the inheritance crystal from the space ring and said to Shilinfei. That's right. After Liu's thinking and weighing the pros and cons, Liu finally decided to give this inheritance crystal to Shilinfei for use. As for the reason, it was that Liu didn't want his parents to step into the circle of warriors. Liu just wanted them to live a good life. Only when Liu had a strong enough strength to look down on everything, Liu would let them know the truth. As for worrying about whether his parents could wait until that day, Liu firmly believed that he could definitely wait. This is Liu's confidence, and also his confidence in the system. Wow. What a beautiful crystal ball. Liu, this must be very expensive, right? Shilinfei thought that the surprise Liu gave her was this crystal ball, but she didn't know that its most important value was not the appearance. No, this is not a surprise. The surprise is inside the crystal ball. Liu shook his head. What can be put inside such a small place? And it can't be opened? Shilinfei asked in confusion. Okay, stop guessing. Come on, sit on the bed, and then put your hand on the crystal ball. Yeah, that's it. Then try to explore the crystal ball with your spirit. Liu guided her step by step. But I don't feel anything. Am I too stupid? Shilinfei said discouraged, after trying for a while. It's okay, you don't understand these, so you have to try a few more times. Come on, don't give up. Liu comforted her. Hey, this. Shilinfei, who was meditating again, did not disappoint Liu. She entered the inheritance crystal directly at once, and began the journey of inheritance. At this time, in the inheritance crystal, Shilinfei continued to receive countless skills, spells, secrets, and various information such as cultivation experience. However, although the amount of information was huge, Shilinfei did not feel any discomfort. because in the crystal, pure spiritual energy was sealed, and as Shilinfei continued to receive inheritance, that pure spiritual energy was also constantly strengthening Shilinfei's soul, allowing it to withstand the impact of a huge amount of information. Time passed slowly for more than an hour, and finally, Shilinfei's inheritance journey was coming to an end. As long as the last trace of spiritual energy was completely integrated into Shilinfei's body, it would be a perfect end. But suddenly, a powerful aura suddenly surged around Shilinfei's body, and behind Shilinfei, a milky white nine-tailed fox phantom appeared faintly. What? Liu was shocked, and quickly used the system identification, and was immediately stunned. Name, Shilinfei strength, none bloodline, nine-tailed fox, awakening. Introduction, a girl with the bloodline of the nine-tailed fox, the bloodline is awakening. Don't get into trouble. Liu didn't expect Shilinfei to have such a powerful bloodline. Just thinking that Xiaoshan would have almost failed to awaken, and died if it weren't for the help of the system, Liu was worried. The shadow of the nine-tailed fox behind Shilinfei was vague and looming, as if it would dissipate at any time. However, as Shilinfei's aura continued to increase, the shadow behind her gradually solidified, and the situation that Liu was worried about did not happen. But think about it, with the huge and pure spiritual energy sealed by Master Zuan Yang, Shilinfei's soul was strengthened. This is at least the spiritual power of the Emperor. It is conceivable how powerful Shilinfei's soul would be at this time. Otherwise, the blood awakening would not be triggered, and as for safety, there is no need to worry. Seeing that Shilinfei was fine, Liu's heart was finally relieved. But at the moment, when Shilinfei opened her eyes, the shadow of the nine-tailed fox suddenly swelled, as if it was going to break Liu's room, but a moment later, it poured into Shilinfei's body and disappeared, as if nothing had happened. Whoa, it's so uncomfortable. Finally opened his eyes, but Shilinfei suddenly shook his head and said painfully, "That's right." Shilinfei not only accepted Zuan Yang's inheritance, but also accepted the blood inheritance of the nine-tailed fox clan after her bloodline awakened. The amount of information added up is not as simple as 1 plus 1. If it weren't for the help of the spiritual energy left by Zuan Yang, Shilinfei might have died, because of the huge amount of information. Fei, are you okay? Liu hurried forward, supported Shilinfei, and asked with concern. Whoa. I feel like I have lived for hundreds of years now. My mind is full of all kinds of messy information. Liu, I feel so uncomfortable. Shilinfei hugged Liu and said painfully. What should I do? Oh, that's right. Find Zion and he must have a way. Liu thought to himself. Fei, don't worry. I will help you. It will be fine in a while. Liu stroked Shilinfei and said. Yeah. Zion and come out quickly, I need your help. Liu shouted directly. To be continued. Chapter 52 Awakening. Sequely. Master, what's going on? There's someone. Zion and shouted in dissatisfaction, but when he saw Shilinfei, he immediately hid behind Liu in fear. Okay, Zion and look at Fifi now. What's wrong with her? Why did she suddenly become like this? Liu asked anxiously. Oh, hey. She is actually the bloodline of the nine-tailed fox. Zion and was suddenly surprised after a careful inspection. Hey, I asked you to find a way. Why are you sighing there? Liu said impatiently. Okay. In fact, this situation is very simple. It's just because she suddenly received a large amount of information inheritance, so the huge amount of information cannot be absorbed and assimilated in time, so all she needs to do is sort out and assimilate the mixed information. In fact, with her current soul strength, it is very simple to deal with this situation. She is now like a machine. Both the software and hardware are very advanced, but because she doesn't know how to use it, she can't even solve a small problem. Then what should I do? At this time, Shilinfei suddenly interrupted. Shilinfei felt that her head was in a mess, as if she was being pricked by needles, so she had no interest in the sudden appearance of Zion and However, after hearing the solution Zion and said, she immediately wanted to solve the pain in her body. Well, actually, after your soul has been strengthened, it is comparable to that of an emperor-level strongman, but you don't know how to use the power of your soul, so there is no way to solve this problem. I have a method for using the power of the soul. Once you learn it, you can solve the problem. After Zion and I finished speaking, he flew directly to Shilinfu's side and placed his hands on Shilinfu's head. Suddenly, the technique began to operate in Shilinfu. It was obvious that Zion and I was guiding Shilinfu to learn. Because Shilinfu had inherited too much information, Zion and I could only use this most stupid method to teach Shilinfu the operation trajectory of the technique bit by bit. After Shilinfu felt the operation of the soul method, she sat cross-legged and began to comprehend. Because Shilinfu's soul had been strengthened, and she was already talented. After all, she was the bloodline of the nine-tailed fox, and this soul method itself was a simple soul method. So Shilinfu's complexion gradually eased in just over 10 minutes. How is it? Fifi? Do you feel better? Does your head still hurt? Seeing Shilinfu open her eyes, Liu asked worriedly. Yeah, much better. Shilinfu smiled slightly, but her complexion was still a little uncomfortable. Fifi, it's all my fault. If I hadn't been so inconsiderate, you wouldn't be so miserable. Liu said guiltily. Liu, I don't blame you. If my bloodline hadn't awakened unexpectedly, I'm afraid this wouldn't have happened. After sorting out the soul method, Shilinfu also had a better understanding of the matter of cultivating immortals, and she was officially entering the circle of practitioners. You know everything. Liu said in surprise. Yes. My inherited memory records a lot of immortal cultivation secrets, and I'm even more powerful now. Shilinfu said proudly. Yes, yes, yes. Fifi is the best. Hearing that Shilinfu was fine, and had a special bloodline, and inherited memory that he didn't have, if Liu didn't have the system plugin, he would be envious to death. Liu, thank you. If it weren't for you, I really don't know what to do in the future. Shilinfu suddenly said sadly. What's wrong? Liu asked puzzledly. Actually, when you said you got the immortal inheritance, I was worried that, if you became an immortal in the future, I would still be an ordinary person. What should I do then? Now it's good. I can also cultivate immortality, and I can always be with you in the future. Shilinfu said slowly. Fifi, I'm sorry. I have always ignored this problem, and didn't care about your feelings. Liu, I don't blame you. As long as I can be with you, I'm willing to do anything. Shilinfu interrupted Liu before he finished speaking. Fifi, I love you. After Liu finished speaking, he lowered his head and kissed Shilinfu's red lips. Woo woo woo. Shilinfu was suddenly kissed by force, and she wooed and couldn't speak. Oh, how embarrassing. I can't take it anymore. I want to go back. Zion and I screamed. HMPH. Liu, it's like this again. You are so mean, and there are other people. Shilinfu pushed Liu away and said coquettishly. Liu smiled but said nothing. HMPH. By the way, Liu, who is this? Shilinfu pointed at Zion and I and asked. Him, he is a spirit, called Zion and I, and he was also picked up from the ruins. Liu said with a smile. No. How can I be picked up? I'm a super artifact. Okay, master, don't talk nonsense. Zion and I said angrily. TSK. No matter how powerful it is still picked up. Liu retorted. You. Zion and I was speechless because of Liu, and for a moment he didn't know how to refute. Hehe. Okay, stop teasing him. Hello Zion and I. My name is Shilinfu. Thank you for just now. Shilinfu said gratefully to Zion and I. It's okay. It's my duty to help the master. Zion and I said. Zion and I, you are so nice. Liu, be nicer to Zion and I in the future. You are so mean. Shilinfu snorted at Liu Jiao. Okay. It's all my fault. Liu surrendered helplessly. By the way, Fifi, tell me about your bloodline. Liu suddenly asked curiously. Although Liu himself had no hope, there was a bloodline known next to him. Well, my bloodline is called the nine-tailed fox bloodline, which is of the god level. This means that I can at least reach the god level, or even stronger. My bloodline technique is called 9 Transformation Divine Art. Every time I upgrade a transformation, I can grow a tail, and my strength will also increase by 1 level. After I reach the 9 tails, I will be a god level strongman. The nine-tailed fox is a natural doctor. Many of its innate magical powers are mainly for auxiliary treatment, so it lacks combat power. In the future, I will rely on you to protect me. And when my 9-tailed fox bloodline is upgraded to 6 tails, it can still. At this point, Linfei's face suddenly flushed, and she was speechless. What can you say? Why don't you say it? Liu asked in confusion. Master, after the mistress's bloodline reaches the heavenly level, if you practice dual cultivation, you can quickly improve the strength of both parties. Zion and I finished speaking, and went back to the system. Looking at Linfei again, when she heard Zion and I say it directly, her pretty face was extremely red, and her head was lowered to the floor. Oh. Fifi, why didn't you say such a good thing? Liu grinned. Liu, you still say, annoying. Linfei hit Liu angrily, but was unexpectedly hugged by Liu in his arms. HMPH. Let me go. Linfei struggled for a long time, but Liu held her tightly, leaving her no chance to run away. Fifi, you are not obedient. Liu whispered. HMPH. Linfei knew what Liu was talking about, and suddenly became extremely shy. She didn't know how to refute, so she could only bury her head in Liu's arms, not daring to come out, to look at Liu. To be continued. Chapter 53 Return to the Magical Continent. Let's not talk about the boundless ambiguity between the two of them. Time passed in the sweet love between the two of them until noon. Liu, what is your current strength? Linfei asked Liu while cooking. Well, I just broke through the Zuanji and reached the first level of Zuanji a few days ago. Unlike you, you have the strength of the 4th level of Zuanji. As soon as you wake up, Liu handed the washed vegetables to Linfei and said with some envy. Humph. Of course, I'm very powerful. Let's see if you dare to bully me in the future. Linfei snorted. Wife, spare me. I won't dare to do it again in the future. Liu pretended to be afraid. Humph. You know what's good for you. Linfei snorted arrogantly. Fifi, does your aunt really not need to care? Liu asked a little nervously. Now that Liu has kidnapped someone's daughter and doesn't even cook for her, Liu is really worried that his master's wife will be unhappy. HMPH. Don't worry. My mom can do it herself. And thinking of what the master's wife said before, Linfei felt shy. Mom was really so straightforward. And what? Liu asked curiously. It's none of your business. Hurry up and wash the vegetables. Do you still want to eat? Linfei said angrily. Oh. Helpless. If Linfei didn't say it, Liu couldn't read other people's hearts, so he could only give up. Okay. It's time to eat. Xiaobei, come out to eat. There is your favorite fish. As soon as the meal was ready, Linfei began to look for Xiaobei everywhere, which made Liu so envious. Woo woo woo. It smells so good. I want to eat. When Xiaobei heard that it was time to eat, he ran out from nowhere and ran directly to Linfei's side and no longer rejected Linfei. But looking at Xiaobei's attentive and flattering look, Liu felt that he looked like a dog. This foodie. He has no moral integrity for eating. It's so embarrassing. Liu thought with a frown on his face. Everyone, come and eat. Linfei ordered. Liu hurried to the table and put the delicious food into the bowl first. As expected, Liu had foresight. Xiaobei jumped directly onto the table and occupied all the meat. He was eating like a wolf. Hehe. Eat slowly, Xiaobei. Come, eat some vegetables and have a balanced diet. Linfei not only did not stop him, but smiled and added more vegetables to Xiaobei, which made Liu even more jealous. It seems that letting Xiaobei out is definitely a wrong decision. HMM. By the way, I heard that cats are afraid of dogs, so I will let Xiaoshan out and see if you dare to be arrogant. Liu thought indignantly. Thinking of this, Liu smiled so evilly. Even Xiaobei, who was eating, shivered and looked up at Liu. He didn't find anything, so Xiaobei continued to eat. But he didn't know that a conspiracy about him was about to come. Liu, when are you going back? After dinner, Linfei asked, while lying in Liu's arms. Well, if nothing unexpected happens, I think it should be the end of this month. Isn't this the month we graduate? Finally, the classmates will get together and hold an event together, and then we will go our separate ways. Liu said sadly. The closer it is to graduation, the more boring college life becomes, because all graduation papers and the like have been completed in the second half of the third year, and the fourth year is completely an internship. After graduation, there will be a graduation ceremony and the issuance of diplomas. Yeah. Every time I graduate, I feel a little reluctant. Shilin Fui felt the same way. Then will we go back directly? Fifi, what about your mother? We will be back for at least a month. Liu asked worriedly. It's okay. My mother can take care of herself. And she also agreed to let me go back with you. Shilin Fui said. Well, that's good. By the way, Fifi, I'm going home soon, and I have to say goodbye to my master again, so I have to go out for a day or two. Liu thought about going to the magical continent again before going home. One is to upgrade the authority. After all, seeing that the authority will be upgraded if I work harder, Liu was anxious. In addition, he also needs to buy some medicines for his family, not only for curing diseases, but also for improving physical fitness. However, this requires a lot of money, so Liu has to go to the Gambling Stone Street again. In short, before returning home, Liu has a lot of things to do, and if he doesn't do it, he will have to wait until 2 months later. Well, it is indeed necessary to visit and say goodbye. Without him, how could you have achieved such great success in such a short time? Shilin Fui agreed. Yes, I really thank my master. Liu wanted to laugh in his heart. He didn't have a master, but he didn't dare to show it. Then you can go after dinner. Go early and come back early. I will wait for you to come back. Shilin Fui said with concern. Don't worry. I will be back the day after tomorrow at the latest. Liu said. Well, after dinner, Liu first sent Shilin Fui home, and then drove to the DC area. After all, Liu's home is in this XC area. If he doesn't drive farther, it will be difficult to explain if Shilin Fui finds out. Then Liu went to the Gambling Stone Street in Dongcheng to get some energy jade. Otherwise, if he didn't have money, he would be unable to move forward in the magical continent. Although the DC area is not as prosperous as the city center, it is impossible for everyone to live in the city center for a huge city, so the flow of people in the other 4 districts is also very large. Although I have never been to this DC area, I easily found the Gambling Stone Street after asking a little. After all, there are always so many people who fantasize about getting rich overnight, so the Gambling Stone Street is still very famous. This time, Liu directly chose to solve the battle quickly, so a strange person appeared in the Gambling Stone Street. He was seen shuttling back and forth between various gambling stone shops, but every time he chose a gambling stone, he paid the money and took the stone away. Liu didn't care about the eyes of others at all. He was so happy. Good luck can't be stopped. After spending 10 million, Liu directly bought 3 pieces of energy jade, nearly 20,000 points. Haha, I'm going to be rich now. 3,000 energy is 10 million, and now I have more than 20,000 energy. Then I'm going to be a billionaire soon, right? Liu thought excitedly. Well, don't be so ostentatious. First sell it to buy the flying skateboard, and then slowly make the rest. Otherwise it's too easy to get into trouble. Everything is ready. Only the east wind is missing. Liu parked the car in the parking lot, and then carefully approached the surroundings. There was no one, and now all he had to do was deal with Xiao Bei. Xiao Bei, come on, get into the Pokeball obediently, and I'll let you out. When you get there, there's a reward. Liu tempted. Okay, I want to roast suckling pig. Roast whole lamb. Go in quickly. Why are you talking so much nonsense? Liu grabbed Xiao Bei and stuffed him directly into the Pokeball. Boy, are we going back to the magic continent? Mutuo, who had heard Liu's words a long time ago, asked curiously. Yeah. Aren't you going in? If you can't go back, you have to wait 3 days before I can come back. Liu explained. It's okay. I just want to see how you did it. It doesn't matter if you don't go back. Mutuo said calmly. Okay then. System, space shuttle. Yeah. Don't you want to go in? If you can't go back, I have to wait 3 days before I can come back. Liu explained. It's okay. I just want to see how you did it. It doesn't matter if you don't go back. Mutuo said calmly. Okay then. System, space shuttle. Liu said. But a mysterious space energy acted on Liu and Mutuo, and suddenly, Liu and Mutuo disappeared. Old man, what the hell are you doing? I don't know what he felt at the moment when his figure disappeared. Mutuo wondered in his heart. To be continued. Thanks to the book friends. DESTIUCTION asterisk DRAGON God. 10 recommended votes for extreme charge. 5 recommended votes for Musin SUIR. 4 recommendation votes HHDJGGCH. 2 recommendation votes for Accompany You. 2 recommendation votes GUOSHAROSHIRO. 2 recommendation votes You Falling from the Sky. 1 recommendation vote Coca-Cola. 1 recommendation vote Frivolous Scholar. Sorry, this book friend's name can only be typed so much. 1 recommendation vote asterisk asterisk asterisk. 1 recommendation vote. 1 recommendation vote Zinchen. 1 recommendation vote Mosey. 1 recommendation vote Lone Wolf. 3 recommendation votes Accompany You. 2 recommendation votes Newcomer New Book. The author does not have much experience. I hope friends who like it can collect it. Please recommend. Please comment. Please ask for all kinds of requests. Chapter 54. New Island Trip. New Island of the Magical Continent. Mutuo, I'll leave it to you next. My flying skateboard was destroyed by that guy Oak. I can't go back by myself, so. Liu said embarrassedly. What? Okay. Mutuo didn't know what he was thinking, and when he heard Liu's words, he suddenly reacted. Mutuo, what's wrong with you? Liu asked worriedly. Nothing. Boy, why are you so busy? Do you still want to go back? Mutuo pretended to be impatient. Haha. Then let's go. Oh. By the way, just go to the nearest city here. After spending these few days together, Liu knew that Mutuo was not good at socializing, but his heart was still very kind. Yeah. Mutuo responded. Teleport. But, in an instant, Liu and Mutuo disappeared on the vast sea. Lingai City, one of the most beautiful cities beside the Diamond Coast, is just a beautiful city that has recently fallen into a sad atmosphere due to the tsunami caused by the Battle of Unknown Elves. Although the Magic Continent advocates peace and freedom and hopes to live in harmony with the elves, some elves are born with perverse and violent personalities. Once they get angry, they sometimes cause irreversible consequences to humans. It seems that I came at the wrong time. Feeling the dull atmosphere around him, Liu thought to himself. HMPH. Mutuo snorted coldly without saying anything. Okay. But you are so openly appearing on the street, don't you need to hide? Liu originally wanted to say that without you, there would be no fight. But this can't be said. If Mutuo is unhappy, Liu will be miserable. HMPH. What do you know? In fact, I'm in the super energy space now, and only you can see me. Those with low strength can't see me at all. Mutuo said arrogantly. Okay. You are awesome. It seems that this guy likes to show off. Liu thought helplessly. It's the Dowd family's industry again. Will this guy occupy the entire continent? Coming to the department store, Liu saw the eye-catching Dowd family logo again, and couldn't help but think. Hey. Boy, hurry up. I have something to tell you. Seeing Liu standing there, he didn't know what he was saying. Mutuo said impatiently. Oh, right away. Liu said hurriedly. Liu couldn't afford to offend this great god, so he quickly quickened his pace, walked into the department store, and came to the floor of auxiliary props with ease. Miss, can you help me estimate the price? Liu asked with a smile. Yes, sir. Please take out the items you want to sell. The beautiful waitress smiled politely. Well, this is it. Liu took out the jade stone that was about the size of a football. Although this jade stone was not as big as the last one, it was not small, and the quality was better, and the energy contained was also higher, with more than 6,000 energy points. So big. Obviously, the beauty had never seen such a young trainer take out such a large energy stone, and couldn't help but exclaimed. Shh, keep your voice down. Let's estimate the price quickly. Liu didn't want to attract attention, so he quickly stopped her. Oh. Sorry, sir. I'll start right away. The beauty apologized. After the beauty apologized, she took out a machine and scanned the jade. Suddenly, beep, bronze energy stone. Contains 6250 points of energy, estimated at 30 million. Sir, is that okay? The beauty was not surprised this time. After all, she had never completed such a transaction before. Well, sell it. By the way, I also want a flying skateboard, which is just right for one piece. My card number is. Liu said directly. Well, okay, sir, please check the records of your elf machine. The beauty said. Although the beauty was also surprised by Liu's extravagance, she still knew what to ask and what not to ask. That's right. Thank you, beauty. You are very beautiful, goodbye. Although the beauty was very beautiful, Liu had seen her before, so there was nothing to miss. Goodbye, welcome back next time. The beauty was obviously very satisfied with the completion of this transaction, and said to Liu very happily. After leaving the department store, Liu didn't know where to find talented elves, and he didn't want ordinary ones, so. Mutuo, do you know where there are very powerful elves that I can conquer with my strength? That's right, although Liu didn't know, it didn't mean that Mutuo didn't know. Mutuo has lived in Diamond Coast for many years, and must know it very well. Boy, are you telling the truth? Mutuo looked at Liu jokingly. What's wrong? Liu had a bad premonition. Haha, you humans are so ignorant. You always fantasize about conquering powerful elves, but you don't know how many people have died because of this. Mutuo said sinisterly. Liu was speechless. This guy must have prejudice against humans, otherwise how could he be so paranoid? But it doesn't matter, I know a place that can satisfy your wish. Mutuo ignored what Liu wanted to say and continued directly. Then I'll leave it to you. Mutuo. Knowing that Mutuo used to hate humans very much, Liu was also very grateful that he could treat Liu like this now. Let's go. Without any response, Mutuo teleported away with Liu. As for why he didn't use a flying skateboard, haha, how could that speed be compared with Mutuo? Liu was willing, and Mutuo was not willing to dawdle. Seeing that Mutuo didn't even ask for his opinion and used teleportation in public, Liu didn't know how to teach him a lesson. Scold him. Liu didn't dare. Hit him. Liu didn't dare. The key was that he couldn't beat him. He could only look at Mutuo speechlessly. Boy, what's that expression on your face? Let's see if this place meets your requirements. By the way, I have something else to do, so I'll leave first and come back in a while. That's it. Mutuo said lightly. Here. Hey. Isn't this the island of the water otters? Are there elves gathered here? But that's right. After all, the water otter tribe lives here, so it's not surprising that there are other elves. Seeing some familiar scenes around, Liu thought to himself. Water otter, come out. Liu took out a Pokeball and said. Meow. Master, you finally let me out. Liu was startled by the surprised voice of the water otter, but he was relieved when he remembered that he seemed to have learned the speech of the heart. That, water otter. Look where we are now. Liu said. Meow. Master, why are we back again? I hate this place. The elves here are too bad. They don't play with me and bully me. The water otter said unhappily. I actually want to subdue a few elves. You should know the distribution of elves here, right? Liu didn't expect that the water otter would have such an experience, so he could only ask awkwardly. Okay, I know where they are. The water otter said helplessly. In fact, the real idea of the water otter is that, since Liu wants to subdue those elves, then he can use Liu's hand to teach them a lesson, which is also a relief. Water otter is the best. Please. To be continued. Newcomer and new book. The author does not have much experience. I hope friends who like it can collect it. Please recommend. Please comment please. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 55, Kabutosaurus. Hearing that Shushu was willing to lead the way, Liu was excited. After all, if it was really a gifted elf, it meant that Liu could upgrade his authority today. Master, those annoying guys like to move around in the abandoned ruins in the center of the island, so we can find them, as long as we go there. Water Otter explained as he walked. Oh. Ruins? What kind of ruins are those? Although he used ruins as an excuse many times, Liu had never seen a ruin in person, and he couldn't help but feel a little curious. Well, I heard from the tribe leader that the ruins suddenly appeared many years ago, but it was abandoned after humans explored it, and there were only a bunch of broken houses, so only those annoying guys like to play there. Water Otter said disdainfully. Don't worry about the unhappiness in the past, we will accompany you in the future. Liu also sympathized with Water Otter's experience. After all, it is very uncomfortable to be excluded, and that kind of loneliness can really drive people crazy. Meow. Thank you, Master. Water Otter said excitedly. Hehe. After more than 10 minutes of walking, Liu finally arrived at the so-called abandoned ruins under the guidance of the Water Otter. Sure enough, what appeared in front of Liu was a dilapidated ancient building. But maybe it's because humans and elves have different worldviews. Liu saw something different from it. Although those buildings are dilapidated, they can still show the ancient enthusiasm for gods. In the distant ancient times of the magical continent, humans at that time were weak and far from the powerful scientific and technological strength of today, so they took those powerful elves as the totem of their tribe, as the faith of their tribe, as the gods of their tribe. And those ancient tribes would also collect the remains of some powerful elves as religious objects, and also collect some energy stones, evolution stones and other items with mysterious powers as tributes to the gods. So now those scientists hope to get those mysterious tributes from the ancient ruins, and even hope to extract genes from the remains of those elves, so as to create those extinct ancient elves again. Muto was created in this way. Although the Pluto forces suffered the consequences and failed to control Muto, they had successful technology. As long as they kept creating, they would be able to control it successfully. Dark Salamander and Dark Lugia were good examples. Therefore, driven by various interests, human beings have an endless desire to explore and pursue these ancient sites. And now, the site in front of Liu is engraved with a legendary wind god who can control the wind, thunder god who controls thunder, and water god who controls water. But this is not what shocked Liu the most. But, these three legendary beasts actually showed reverence on their faces, and in the place where their eyes were focused. Liu looked at it gradually, and suddenly he felt like he had eaten a fly. Damn, the place where the three eyes were gathered turned into ruins. What the hell? Damn, this luck is really too good. Liu sighed helplessly. Suddenly, a group of sea blue figures appeared in front of Liu. Looking carefully, what appeared in front of him turned out to be the elves that evolved to be comparable to the mythical beasts, the carapace dragon. This discovery immediately made Liu excited. In the middle of the abandoned ancient building in front of Liu, a group of water-based elves were playing freely in it. And the elves were divided into three factions, one of which was the Seal Bull tribe. The leader was a level 45 Emperor Fang Sea Lion, and the other was the Wubo tribe. The leader was a level 46 Swamp King. In addition, there is one last faction on this island, that is, the elves who are free and lonely by nature, and they are born to live alone. This group includes the Little Wood Demon, the Double Sword Sheath, the Koga Greninja, the Resentful Shadow Doll, and Liu's favorite Carapace Dragon, including Liu's Water Otter tribe. A total of 4 groups are the overlords of this island, occupying the control of the entire island. And because the big sword ghosts don't like the abandoned building in the center of the island, they occupy a territory on the seashore. Let's talk about Liu again. At this time, Liu was looking at the attributes of the armored dragon excitedly, because his attributes turned out to be: name, armored dragon attributes, dragon qualification, legendary level, silver rank, level 34, abilities, talented skills, dragon dance, dance the mysterious dance that the dragon clan does not pass on, and improve your attack and speed. Already enabled, Mysterious Guardian, use mysterious power to deploy a shield to protect yourself. Already enabled, Dragon Rage breaking the sky slash, gather the strength of the whole body and continuously and violently attack the opponent. Enabled at level 40, Dragon God Dive, release terrifying murderous aura and hit the opponent at the same time. Sometimes it will make the opponent timid. Enabled at level 60, Learning Skills. Spark, attack the opponent with flames, with a chance of burning the opponent. Angry Thunderfang, gather lightning and condense into Thunderfangs to attack the opponent. Mind Hammer, use mental attacks to cause serious trauma to the opponent's mind. Jet Flame, condensed dragon-shaped flames, carrying the pressure of dragons to attack the place. That's right, it was the powerful innate attribute of Kabutosaurus. Liu felt that it would be unjust not to subdue him. However, Liu was not sure whether he could subdue him, because Kabutosaurus naturally likes to live alone. Although he lives on this island with many elves, he is like a lonely traveler and has never communicated too much with other elves. There are other elves who like to live alone. Although there are many elves that Liu likes, their talents are not very ideal, so Liu has no desire to subdue them. Water Otter, can you call Kabutosaurus out? Liu really had no choice but to subdue Kabutosaurus without anyone noticing, so he asked Water Otter, hoping that he would have some good advice. Well, yes, although this guy is very arrogant, he has a strange habit, that is, he likes to challenge those high-level elves. Although he is defeated every time, he still doesn't know how to give up. Water Otter explained to Liu. Hey, in that case, then you do this. Hearing what Water Otter said, Liu's eyes lit up. After thinking about it, he gave Water Otter an order. After that, Liu walked towards the beach, while the Water Otter came to the area where the Kabutosaurus was practicing. Meow, meow, bee. After the Water Otter found the Kabutosaurus, the two elves didn't communicate for long, and the Kabutosaurus followed the Water Otter outside. This is a new book by a new author, and the author doesn't have much experience. I hope friends who like it can collect it. Please recommend, please comment, please do anything. Chapter 56 Evolution Violent Salamander. Well, do you have a way to help me improve my strength quickly? As soon as he saw Liu, Kabutosaurus said coldly to Liu, but a blazing light flashed in his eyes. Yes, I do have a way to help you improve your strength quickly, but I will only use this method on my own Pokémon. So, unexpectedly, this guy was so straightforward, so Liu simply stated his purpose directly. HMPH. That depends on whether you have the strength. Although he was very eager for strength and was willing to pay any price, even if he surrendered to the trainer, he had to choose a strong trainer, otherwise how could he go back for revenge? Then let's have a battle. If I beat you, you will become my partner. How about that? Liu said. HMPH. I hope your strength will not disappoint me. Kabutosaurus snorted at Liu and was ready to fight, obviously agreeing to Liu's request for a battle. Come out, Zyocean. Because the level of the Kabutosaurus has reached level 34, Liu can only use Zyocean to fight it. Although it seems a bit like bullying him, Liu has no choice. Who made him only have this one high-level elf? Roar. As soon as Zyocean appeared, he first roared at the Kabutosaurus with great momentum, and his powerful power was undoubtedly revealed. Mind Hammer. The battle began. The Kabutosaurus did not hesitate at all, and directly released the Mind Hammer, and the mental attack quietly attacked Zyocean. Zyocean, be careful. Without waiting for Liu to remind him, Zyocean, who felt the crisis, dodged and quickly hid to the side. The place where Zyocean just left his standing position was suddenly bombarded into a deep pit of several meters. HMPH. Spray flames. The Kabutosaurus just snorted coldly for Zyocean being able to dodge its attack, and then attacked again, and suddenly continuous flames spewed out of its mouth. No matter how Zyocean dodged, the dragon-shaped flames would always attack him the next moment, as if the armored dragon could predict Zyocean's movement. Roar. Hell transformation. Zyocean dodged again and again, and was also hit by the real fire. He didn't want to bully the armored dragon, but at this time he took out 100% of his strength. In the Hell transformation mode, Zyocean's strength will be increased by at least 2 times. Hell Flame. Zyocean, in the form of a 3-headed hellhound, had a strong momentum, and the armored dragon's eyes were obviously solemn after sensing Zyocean's sudden change. Especially when Zyocean's hell flames rushed towards him, the dark corrosive flames carried the breath of hell, which made people's scalps numb. Mysterious Guardian. Buzz. Invisible energy guarded around the armored dragon, forming a looming energy shield. After the hell flame touched the energy shield, it was like an ice cube thrown into a volcano. The hell flame, which had always been invincible, was slowly consumed by the shield. What? This hell flame is known as the immortal fire, but now it is so easily eliminated. Although Zyroshin's strength has not reached that level, he is also shocked by the strength of the shell dragon. Is that all you can do? The shell dragon looked at Zyroshin with disdain. HMPH, come again. Although shocked by the strength of the shell dragon, Zyroshin is not easy to deal with. Zyroshin's 3 heads gathered energy at the same time. The hell flame in the middle head condensed again. The head on the right was surrounded by lightning, and the head on the left was filled with dark energy. The thunder origin, that had been slow to comprehend, was also comprehended at this moment, reaching 10%, and the strength was once again raised by 1 level. Then the 3 energies converged together to form a dark and purple-red energy ball. This move was a new skill that Zyroshin created after awakening the origin of the thunder system, the demon prison thunder flame. Buzz. Boom. The demon prison thunder flame, which exuded a powerful force, instantly bombarded the armored dragon's shield. Although the armored dragon had been maintaining the energy of the shield, it instantly melted a hole when facing Zyroshin's second attack, and then the energy ball directly attacked the armored dragon. Woo. The armored dragon cried out in pain and flew backwards, leaving a scratch of more than 10 meters on the ground. Although the armored dragon's shell defense was amazing, it was still in a seriously injured state. How is it? What do you think? Seeing that the battle was over, after all, the armored dragon had no strength to resist at this time, Liu stepped forward and asked. Humph. The armored dragon looked at Liu indifferently, just snorted coldly, but did not respond, but the unwillingness in his eyes was undoubtedly revealed. Just as Liu was about to say something else, the Kabutosaurus's momentum suddenly changed strangely, sometimes strong and sometimes weak, and his body was constantly twisting. Buzz. The Kabutosaurus suddenly shone brightly, as dazzling as the sun, and Liu couldn't open his eyes. Roar. In the white light, only the Kabutosaurus shouted loudly, and then suddenly a dragon roar resounded through the sky. What? It's really. Finally, the light dissipated, and the Kabutosaurus, who was lying on the ground and seriously injured and dying, disappeared. Feeling a strong momentum coming from the top of his head, Liu looked up, and his pupils narrowed slightly, thinking, it's true. Roar. Kabutosaurus, no. After evolving into a violent salamander, the original seriously injured state also recovered quickly, and was revived directly with full blood. At this time, the violent salamander has a ferocious head, sharp wings, and especially the pair of cold triangular eyes, giving people a feeling of keeping people away from it. Such a pervert. How can I beat him? Looking at the new attributes of the violent salamander, Liu suddenly felt that it was extremely difficult, and then he had a feeling of not knowing where to start. Name: Violent Salamander Attributes, Dragon Flying Qualification, Legendary Level, Silver Level, Level 36, Abilities, Talented Skills, Dragon Dance, dance the mysterious dance that the Dragon Clan does not pass on, and improve your attack and speed. Already enabled, Mysterious Guardian, use mysterious power to deploy a shield to protect yourself. Already enabled, Dragon Rage, breaking the sky slash, gather the power of the whole body and attack the opponent continuously and fiercely. Enabled at level 40, Dragon God Dive, release terrifying murderous aura and hit the opponent at the same time, sometimes making the opponent timid. Enabled at level 60, Learning Skills, Sky Dragon Meteor, use the power of dragon to summon star meteors, and give the opponent a carpet attack. Landslide, mountains collapse, rivers cease to flow, and the opponent instantly feels the anger of the end of the world. Mind Hammer, use mental attacks to cause serious trauma to the opponent's mind. Jet Flame, condensed dragon-shaped flame, carrying the dragon's pressure to attack the place. Thanks to book friends, someone, 6 recommendation votes WZS, 5 recommendation votes book friend 119 asterisk asterisk asterisk. 2 recommendation votes destroy point the world for you. 1 recommendation vote Libay 10 steps to keep people. 1 recommendation vote Fantasy C and Blue Sky TK. 1 recommendation vote Memory of You. 1 recommendation vote Falling From. The sky. 1 recommendation vote frivolous scholar. 1 recommendation vote king of gods. 1 recommendation vote newcomer new book. The author does not have much experience. I hope friends who like it can collect it. Please recommend. Please comment. Please ask for all kinds of requests. Chapter 57. Defeat change of mindset. The level of the violent salamander not only soared by 2 levels, but also learned 2 new skills. Giant long meteor and landslide. These 2 skills can be regarded as the super skills of the violent salamander. No matter how his strength is improved in the future, these 2 skills will never be eliminated. Now that the violent salamander has greatly increased its strength and has more powerful skills, Liu feels that it is indeed a bit difficult to defeat the violent salamander in the current situation, where Zyoshin does not have more powerful skills. The divine beast is indeed strong and unmatched, but that refers to the divine beast that comprehends the source of power, and the new divine beast is actually sometimes not as strong as ordinary elves. As for the reason, it is because he has not yet comprehended the source of power and created his own skills. Ordinary elves, because of the inheritance of blood, can directly learn the skills passed down from generation to generation, thereby exerting a strong combat power. But it is precisely because of this that they can only bear the legacy of their predecessors, but lose the opportunity to break through the qualification restrictions and cannot reach a more powerful realm. The reason why people think that the mythical beasts are powerful and invincible is that they have encountered grown-up mythical beasts, such as Mutuo, Lugia, Kyogre, Groudon. And these mythical beasts have comprehended the origin of their own power, and their strength is at least sub-god level existence, which is simply not comparable to the new mythical beasts like Zyoshin. Zyoshin, can you continue to fight? Because Zyoshin just consumed the original power to launch that super move, his physical strength is not enough to support him to continue fighting. It's okay, I can do it. Zyoshin looked at Liu with a firm look in his eyes. Although he was physically exhausted, he still had to persist. Only victory would be the best reward for Liu. Yes. Feeling the persistence in Zyoshin's eyes, Liu nodded and said, "You are strong enough to defeat me just now, but now, you are no match for me, so go away. I will not accept someone weaker than me as my trainer." In his heart, the violent salamander was very grateful to Liu and Zyoshin. Without the battle with them, he would not have evolved so quickly, but he was still very reluctant to submit to the trainer. And most importantly, he still had things he had to do. Even if Liu defeated him and temporarily subdued him, he would leave again when he became stronger. Roar. Hearing the contemptuous words of the violent salamander, Zyoshin was furious. He was a divine beast, but now he was despised by an ordinary Pokémon, and he was immediately furious. Liu wanted to say something, but before he could say anything, the violent salamander flapped its wings and disappeared from Liu's sight. It was unknown where it went. Ding, the battle is over. Zyoshin gained 1000 experience points. Current level 36 level 0.5% Zyoshin, it's okay. Although you didn't defeat him this time, you have to believe in yourself. It's only a matter of time before you surpass him with your potential. Seeing Zyoshin's listless look, Liu knew that he was it. This was not what Liu wanted to see, so he quickly encouraged him. Roar. Although the roar was still low, the momentum in it still existed. Obviously, Zyoshin had regained his confidence, but he still needed time to accept the fact that he was defeated. Come back, Zyoshin. At this moment, Liu looked at Zyoshin's listless look and seemed to understand something. Recalling everything that had happened since he crossed over to the magical continent, Liu felt ridiculous. As an outsider, Liu always treated these elves with the attitude of an earthling. Although Liu loves elves very much and likes to adventure and train with them, he always has a kind of self-righteousness in his heart, thinking that he can crush everything with the system. Liu always substitutes the game mode on Earth into the magical continent, and then relies on the advantage of having the system's assistance to conquer those elves with extraordinary qualifications and unlimited future. But Liu forgot one fact, that is, the magical continent is a real flesh and blood world. Here, there is no distinction between high and low, only whether you work hard. It's just because he has a system that he can have the advantage of seeing the information of the elves but this only allows Liu to train the elves better, not to let him treat the elves differently. Just like Xiaozi in the anime, he has never disliked the elves. He completely relies on his enthusiasm and love for the elves to conquer the elves, train the elves, and move towards his goal. And Liu's current state is like Xiaomao in the anime. He always thinks that he can run rampant by conquering those powerful elves, but he forgets the bond with the elves. He has not fully invested in the elves. Although Liu can quickly subdue 10 elves with the help of the system, and then meet the system's requirements, and upgrade his own authority. What is the purpose of the system? Subduing elves does not mean that Liu deliberately searches for them, but it is about fate. Only elves that are destined to you will exert 100% or even 120% of their strength under your cultivation, and even exceed the limit of qualifications. The system allows Liu to cultivate elves and upgrade them, which is also to cultivate the bond and feelings between Liu and the elves. But Liu misunderstood the purpose of the system. He has always deliberately subdued powerful elves and constantly trained and fought, wanting to meet the system's requirements and upgrade his authority as soon as possible. Therefore, there will be today's Waterloo battle. Xiaoshan is obviously a mythical beast, but he is a newly awakened mythical beast. What he needs now is to comprehend and control his own power. But Liu did not understand this. He just thought that Xiaoshan was not used to the sudden power, and that he would be fine after a few days of training. But when Xiaoshan encountered a really tough opponent, Liu was completely dumbfounded, because he found that Xiaoshan, as a divine beast, could not beat a violent salamander, and the two were almost at the same level. From this, we can see Xiaoshan's shortcomings. He only knew to comprehend the source of power, but did not know how to use it better. Even if he created a skill on the spot, it was still not enough for the violent salamander. Hey, it turns out that I have been wrong all along. I only know how to subdue powerful Pokémon blindly, but I neglect to devote my feelings to them. Without the test of time, even between trainers and Pokémon, there will be no so-called fetters. In that case, let me have a good time in this magical continent. Let me also learn from Xiaozi in the anime, and take one step at a time and adventure down to earth. No matter what kind of Pokémon I meet, as long as I have a fate with him, he is my partner. Even if his talent and qualifications are not good, I will change his fate, and create a miracle. After thinking it through, Liu's mood went to the sky after the rain. The sun was in the sky, and the rainbow bloomed, and he immediately regained his confidence. Newcomer and new book. The author does not have much experience. I hope friends who like it can collect it. Please recommend, please comment, please ask for all kinds of requests. Chapter 58, Shocking Tragedy on New Island. Sitting on the flying skateboard, Liu was thinking about the future. Since he had decided to concentrate on adventures in the magical continent, he had to solve the worries on Earth. Otherwise, in order to appease his family and avoid being discovered and disappearing frequently, he would need to run back and forth between the two worlds every few days. Therefore, solving this problem is crucial, but Liu had a headache when he thought of this problem, because he really didn't have a way to have the best of both worlds. Hey, by the way, Zion and I may have a way. After all, he is an old monster who has lived for who knows how many years. Thinking of Zion and I, Liu immediately couldn't wait to call him out. After expressing his thoughts, Zion and I did not disappoint him. In fact, it is very simple to solve this problem. As long as there are two masters, it will be fine. Zion and I said to Liu in a shocking way. Are you kidding me? How can there be two of me? Wait, are you saying that you have a way to make me two? As if thinking of something, Liu looked at Zion and I expectantly and asked. Yes, I do have a technique in this area, but it's a bit difficult for the master. After all, the master's current strength is too weak. The master can't learn this kind of clone technique at all, and even if he learns it, he can't use it. Zion and I said. Then you still say you have a way. Isn't it still useless? Liu said a little dejected. Don't worry, aren't there other ways? The clone technique doesn't work, but the master can refine a clone puppet, and then condense another soul, and inject it into it. Although the physical body is fake, the thinking and feelings of the clone puppet are exactly the same as the master. Zion and I explained. Puppet? Condensing the soul? It looks very difficult at first glance. Can I succeed? Liu asked a little worriedly. This is simple. As long as Mutuo is willing to help, the master only needs to condense the spiritual body, and then Mutuo will inject some spiritual power to enhance the strength of the spiritual body. This will not have any impact on the master. At most, the spirit is not good. Then how to do it specifically? Before Zion and I finished speaking, Liu couldn't wait to ask. Well, I will pass on this method of condensing the spirit body to you first. You can get familiar with it first, and then wait until my brother Wu and I wakes up. He is a master in alchemy and refining, so it is not difficult for him to refine a clone. And it just so happens that the master also got a lot of natural treasures during his last trip to the secret realm, which can be used to refine a clone. I believe that the clone refined with these natural treasures can at least reach the earth level, and it can also protect the master's relatives. Zion and I carefully and seriously told Liu everything. Zion and I don't know what to say to you. I didn't expect that you, who have always been the most useless, can help me solve such a big problem now. Liu said to Zion and I with a sincere face. The most useless? I'm actually the most useless. Hey, I'm the legendary super artifact seeing. That Zion and I was on the verge of exploding. Liu hurriedly made jokes, and the two of them are one person, and one artifact spirit started fighting in this flying skateboard, and suddenly the whole skateboard space was in chaos. It seems not. Don't pay attention to these details. Dividing line. Hey? This Mutuo has been away for so long. Why hasn't he come back yet? Well, it happens that this place is not far from the new island. I'll go and see. Maybe I can find him. This guy's really something. He left without saying where he was going. After leaving the island, where the water otter was originally located, Liu prepared to return to the mainland, but after waiting for a long time and Mutuo didn't come back, Liu prepared to go to the new island. Driving the flying skateboard, Liu sped all the way. In just over 10 minutes, Liu arrived at the new island, but the scene he saw made Liu stand there in a daze. At this time, the new island seemed to have just been bombed, with potholes and bumps. Even the towering trees that had grown for many years were leaning to the ground, and some injured elves were lying on the ground in pain. At this time, the new island was really horrible. When those elves saw Liu, the flames of anger in their eyes suddenly burned, as if they wanted to eat Liu alive. Seeing this situation, how could Liu not understand? He was immediately terrified, because these elves were at a very high level, basically in a fully evolved state, especially the aura emanating from them, at least above level 60. Stop. At this moment, Mutuo suddenly appeared and stopped the actions of all the elves. He is not one of those poachers. A simple sentence, without any extra explanation, but after hearing it, those elves gave up their desire for revenge on Liu without hesitation. Mutuo, what is going on? How did the new island become like this? What happened? Seeing the new island destroyed like this, and the reactions of the elves, although Liu understood a little, he still asked in disbelief. HMPH. Damn humans, they actually wanted to poach the elves on the island, while I was away. Mutuo's cold words were emotionless, but Liu felt as if he had fallen into an ice cave, and his whole body was cold. Mutuo. Liu didn't know how to comfort Mutuo. Liu had nothing to say about human desires and selfishness, because he himself had desires, so what right did he have to say about others? Mutuo, I have some all-purpose recovery potions here. I don't know if they are useful, but... Before Liu could finish, Mutuo interrupted directly. It's useless. Do you think my island would be short of these things? Hearing this, Liu didn't know how to respond, and could only fall into silence. Let's go. As if thinking of something, Mutuo suddenly said something to Liu, and then the scene changed instantly, and then Liu found that he seemed to have come to an underground castle. Right in the center of the castle, 4 or 5 blue-green steel elves, metagresses, were anxiously and painfully circling around several newly split iron dumbbells, which were obviously newborns. King. Seeing Mutuo, the huge one, who was obviously the leader of the metagresses, stepped forward and looked at Mutuo with pleading eyes. Because your child was just born, and was seriously injured, it has no ability to recover by itself. I can't do anything. Mutuo's eyes revealed a trace of sadness and anger, but in the end he could only roar in pain helplessly. This is a new book by a new author, and the author does not have much experience. I hope friends who like it can collect it. Please recommend, please comment, please do anything. Chapter 59. Joy Wuenai wakes up. King. Damn human. The leader of the giant gold monster heard that Mutuo had no way to help him. He screamed in pain. The hatred and sadness in his voice seemed to infect the world. Suddenly, there was lightning and thunder in the outside world. The extremely shocked Liu used the identification quietly and immediately saw the information of the leader of the giant gold monster. Name: Giant Gold Monster. Attributes: Steel type, Psychic type. Qualification: Legendary level, Sub-God level 80. Ability: Talent skills: Electromagnetic Floating plus Meteor Punch plus Destruction Death Light plus Miracle Eye Half Reflection plus Super Shock plus Lustrous Electric Cannon plus Landslide. Actually broke through to the Sub-God level. After seeing the attributes of the leader of the giant gold monster, Liu was shocked. He didn't expect that he would break through to the sub-god level because of the power of pain and hatred for the child's impending death. You know, even Mutuo is only at the peak of the sub-god level, and even some mythical beasts are at this level. Now the giant gold monster, which was originally an ordinary elf, has reached this level. Seeing this, Liu's belief was strengthened. There is no weakest Pokémon, only trainers who can't train. However, when looking at those weak and dying iron dumbbells, although Liu felt sympathy for them, he could do nothing. After all, his strength was limited, and he had no ability to revive. Ding, Wuenai, the weapon spirit, has awakened. Please check it yourself. At this moment, the system's prompt sound suddenly came, which scared Liu. With a thought, the information about Wuenai appeared in Liu's mind. After reading the system's introduction to Wuenai, Liu suddenly felt that the system seemed to be thinking of ways to help him. Of course, it might also be that Liu's luck was too good, because after Wuenai's Washending was integrated with the system, in addition to the original ability to refine pills and weapons, he actually developed 3 new functions because of the integration with the system. The first is a problem of improving the qualifications of the Pokémon, because Liu had obtained many qualification improvement cards before, but he could not use them, and now he can finally use them for the Pokémon. The method of use is also very simple, that is, through the Washending. There is a mysterious space in the Washending. Each time you enter, you need to use a qualification improvement card and consume a certain amount of points. Then the elves can enter it and experience the harsh tests set by various systems. Once you successfully pass the test, the elves' qualifications will be improved, otherwise the qualification improvement card will fail. However, even if the qualifications are not improved, just going through various trials is also a kind of training. Although it cannot directly improve the qualifications of the elves, it is also very beneficial to the elves. Therefore, Liu has no dissatisfaction with this regulation of the system. After all, it is not an easy thing to break through the qualifications. It is not so easy to use the qualification improvement card to improve the qualifications. To get any reward, you must first pay. There is no pie in the sky. This is a lesson and experience that Liu got after the battle with the violent salamander. There is another function, which is the evolution card. Like the previous way of improving qualifications, it also requires the consumption of points and passing the test to successfully evolve. Otherwise the card is equivalent to failure to use and waste. The last function is what Liu needs most now, resurrection. As long as the Pokémon is not completely dead, it can be restored by consuming a certain amount of points. Although Liu does not have many points now, it is enough to save a few iron dumbbells. Thinking of this, Liu stepped forward and said to Mutuo, "Mutuo, I can save these iron dumbbells. I hope you can let me try." Well, looking at Liu's eyes, Mutuo saw the light of confidence, and there was no selfishness mixed in. "Migueladon, what do you think?" Although Mutuo was willing to let Liu try, the iron dumbbells were the children of the Metagross leader after all, and Mutuo could not make any decisions for him. King. The Metagross leader glanced at Mutuo, then stared at Liu closely, and finally agreed to let him try. "Thank you, I will definitely not let you down," Liu said firmly to the Metagross leader, and then walked to the group of iron dumbbells. Looking at their dying appearance, Liu felt an inexplicable pain in his heart. Thinking of the poachers on Earth, Liu felt touched. Wuenai, how many points do I need to revive these iron dumbbells? Because Mewtwo and the others were still there, Liu used his mind to communicate with Wuenai in the system and asked, well, Master, thank you for restoring me and for bringing the three brothers together. Although we are still missing Shinenai, I believe you can find him. It's actually very simple to revive these iron dumbbells. Only 20,000 points are enough, and the master can do better. Wuenai's voice was like a mighty general, very deep and high. After thanking Liu, Wuenai began to explain to Liu. Oh, how do you say it? Liu asked curiously. Well, because the iron dumbbells are a kind of mutant elves, they want to give birth to offspring by constantly swallowing metals, and then breed the next generation in their bodies. Moreover, if the iron dumbbells want to increase their strength or evolve, they need to swallow a lot of metal. It can be said that, as long as they have enough metal, the iron dumbbells can continue to grow stronger. But there are also limitations. Iron dumbbells usually increase their strength with ordinary metals, but if they want to evolve, they need special metals. So, as long as the master uses points to revive them, and gives them some special metals, their talents will be turned upside down. After Wuenai patiently explained, he finally said excitedly to Liu. Although I said that, where can I get you special metals? Liu said helplessly. Master, have you forgotten the things you got in the secret realm before? There are a lot of metals in it. Wuenai said. Oh, by the way, if you hadn't told me, I would have almost forgotten it. With a flick of his hand, the various forgotten metals in the space ring appeared directly on the open space in front of Liu. Various metals were placed on the ground, but Liu was like an illiterate, with a dark eye, and didn't recognize anything. What should I do next? Although he knew that he could save them, Liu didn't understand the specific operation process, so he could only ask Wuenai. Next, just do what I say. First, newcomer and new book. The author doesn't have much experience. I hope friends who like it can collect it. Please recommend. Please comment. Please do anything. Chapter 60 Rescue Mutation. According to Wuenai's command, Liu put his hands on an iron dumbbell, and then a milky white energy suddenly gushed out from Liu's hands and entered the body of the iron dumbbell. As the energy continued to be injected, Liu raised his hand again, and the metals that were originally scattered on the ground flew directly to Liu's side, and then slowly merged into the body of the iron dumbbell. Bustling. Because of the integration of foreign metal, the iron dumbbell screamed in pain, but then, the milky white energy washed back and forth in its body, making the iron dumbbell's breath gradually stronger, and it no longer looked as sluggish as before, and gradually recovered its vitality. Only half a minute later, and after consuming a lot of metal, the iron dumbbell finally recovered completely. Glancing at Liu with gratitude, the iron dumbbell ran to the parents to act coquettishly. Haha. With a slight smile, Liu treated the remaining iron dumbbells again. With experience, the following treatment went smoothly. In just 3 minutes, all the iron dumbbells were basically rejuvenated, except for the last one in Liu's hand. Because Liu was the last one to treat him, it would take some time to recover. Liu stretched out his hand again, and a piece of platinum metal the size of a basketball appeared in front of him. The moment this platinum metal appeared, it immediately attracted the attention of all the giant gold monsters and iron dumbbell. The burning eyes were focused on Liu's hand, but no elves rushed up. But Liu didn't notice this at this time, because he was concentrating on treating iron dumbbell. As this platinum metal was integrated, iron dumbbell did not make any painful sounds like before, but instead enjoyed it, and squinted his eyes comfortably. Milky white energy continued to be injected, and the platinum metal was completely integrated into the body of iron dumbbell. But the next change shocked everyone, elves, including Liu. He waved his hand again, and a piece of purple gold metal appeared next to iron dumbbell, and then gradually integrated into the body of iron dumbbell. As the treatment progressed, for some reason, just like an elf evolving, the iron dumbbell suddenly emitted a dazzling white light, which made Liu unable to open his eyes. As time passed, the white light gradually dissipated. The iron dumbbell appeared in front of everyone again. No, at this time, he no longer looked like an iron dumbbell. His appearance had changed drastically. The iron dumbbell was streamlined like a cannonball, and its platinum body was covered with dense rune lines, just like the magic technology creations in the magic civilization. This iron dumbbell had no legs like his kind, but he had 3 sharp blades under his body, and they were longer than the iron dumbbells of the same race, about the same length as his body. The most shocking thing was his eye. The purple gold diamond shaped eye gave people a mysterious feeling. His head extended backwards, finally forming the shape of another sharp blade. Although he couldn't walk, he could float in the air without any support, just like a ghost asking for his life. Ling, thank you for saving me and making me stronger. Perhaps because of the mutation, the iron dumbbell was very mature at this time. He didn't throw himself into his parents' arms at the first time, but thanked Liu. It's okay, this is what I should do. Liu was also very curious about this mutated iron dumbbell. Although he knew that the special group of iron dumbbells would change due to absorbing different metals, it felt really different to see it with his own eyes. The iron dumbbell glanced at Liu, and a hint of inexplicable meaning flashed in his eyes. I don't know what he was thinking. Then he walked to the giant gold monster leader and communicated with them. After some communication, the giant gold monster leader also knew that his child seemed to have mutated. Not only did his appearance change drastically, but his personality also became mature and rational. King. Thank you, my friend. Thank you for spending so much special metal to save my child, and also add a new member to our family. Metagross looked at his child, especially the mutated iron dumbbell, and said to Liu gratefully, haha. It's okay, actually this is what I should do. After all, Muto and I are friends. When a friend of a friend is in trouble, we should help each other. And although I helped you, this iron dumbbell also underwent unknown changes. I'm not sure whether it's good or bad. Seeing the leader of the Metagross and his tribe collectively thanking him, Liu was a little embarrassed because he didn't do anything at all. Everything was just according to Wu Enai's command. And seeing the properties of this iron dumbbell, Liu was shocked and a little worried because this iron dumbbell had lost its qualifications for some reason. King. Thank you very much. Without you, my child would not be alive. Finally getting rid of the enthusiastic Metagross leader and his friends, Liu and Muto walked out of the castle together. Looking at the devastation all around, both of them felt unhappy. It was because of the endless desires of humans that some of the elves who originally yearned for peace became tools, and some even died tragically. Boy, thank you so much this time. If you need any help, I will do my best. Suddenly, the silent atmosphere was broken, and Muto thanked Liu. Seeing that Muto showed kindness to him for the first time, Liu felt very happy, because this proved that their relationship was closer. It's okay, this is what I should do, but speaking of requests, there is really one, which is very simple for you. I hope you can help. It happened that Liu needed Muto's help to condense his spiritual body, so it was a good time to bring it up now. Okay. Muto heard this, even with his always cold and arrogant personality. At this time, the corners of his mouth twitched involuntarily. Well, coincidence. Absolutely coincidence. Seeing Muto's uncomfortable look, Liu also scratched his head awkwardly. Humph. After a period of rest, the new island finally returned to its original appearance. Although there are fewer towering trees and huge rocky peaks, it no longer has the feeling of broken walls and ruins before. Muto, are you sure you don't want to stay here? If those people come again, Liu wanted to say something, but Muto interrupted him directly. Okay, kid, I have my own decision. You don't have to worry about it. But, wanted to refute, but seeing Muto's cold eyes, Liu could only keep silent. Kid, I'll leave first, and I'll help you solve the problem when I come back. Muto explained to Liu, and then disappeared. No one knew where he went. Newcomer and new book. The author does not have much experience. I hope friends who like it can collect it. Please recommend. Please comment please. Chapter 61 New member. Iron dumbbell. It's like this again. Can't you explain it to me before you leave? But this guy's not bad. He actually took my matter to heart. Although he was very dissatisfied with Muto's behavior, Liu's face immediately turned from cloudy to sunny after hearing that Muto was willing to help. Well, I will go back and refine the clone this time, and then I can practice here with peace of mind. Only when I reach a certain level of strength can I meet the old man again as soon as possible and ask him in person about what happened. The reason why Liu wanted to practice so wholeheartedly, in addition to wanting to quickly improve his strength, the most important thing was that he hoped to meet the old man again. Although Liu knew that he traveled through time because he was struck by lightning, he had no idea what happened specifically. Liu wanted to find out what happened that night. Because there was nothing to do now, Liu simply released a few Pokémon and prepared to let them come out to relax when he had the chance. After all, it was uncomfortable to always be in the Pokéball. It was very lonely, wasn't it? This Pokéball actually opened up a small space in it. Although it was enough for the Pokémon to live, rest, and train, the feeling of loneliness was unbearable. That's why Liu's elves were so resistant to entering the elf ball, such as Water Otter, Charmander, and Xiaobei. As for the other elves, they understood Liu very well and never complained. Liu was very touched by this, but since there was no other way, he couldn't release all the elves when he took the risk, so he felt guilty and would release them all to breathe whenever he had time. Roar, roar, bang bang bang, TSK. As soon as the elves came out, they immediately shouted happily, especially Xiaobei, who jumped directly into Liu's arms and complained dissatisfiedly, "Master, you bad guy, didn't you say you would let me out soon? Humph. Bullying a minor will start with 3 years. Xiaobei, where do you get these words from? I'm speechless." Looking at Xiaobei's expression, that said you've committed a great sin. Do cats have expressions? Liu was speechless. Humph. I want to make up for it, otherwise don't even think about letting me in next time. Xiaobei said proudly. Okay, I'll make you some delicious food, okay. Helplessly, Liu had to prepare food for Xiaobei and the others, like he was serving a master. Although their food was bought directly by Liu, it still needed some processing before it could be eaten, and could not be eaten directly. However, what made Liu a little unhappy was that these elf foods were not only expensive, but also the elves would not be hungry at most after eating them, and they would supply their daily energy consumption, and there was no improvement for themselves. And those high-level elf foods were simply astronomical in price, and Liu could not afford them at all with his current financial resources. Although Liu had the ability to wrestle, it would take time to transform them into real wealth. Well, I must get more jade stones when I go back this time. As for those spirit stones, I must not expose them easily, at least until I have a certain level of strength. The energy contained in the spirit stones was too powerful. After all, Liu's cheap master Zuan Yang was at the level of an immortal, and the treasures he left behind, even if they were the most popular spirit stones, were at least at the level of top grade spirit stones. Therefore, if Liu's spirit does not reach the gold level, it must not be used easily, otherwise it will be backfired by the energy, which will seriously damage the talent. Now only Xiaoshan can barely use the spirit stone to improve his strength, but he can't use it often. After all, external power is not as easy to control as the power obtained by one's own practice. Therefore, Liu has no idea of letting the spirit use the spirit stone to practice. Now is the time for them to lay a solid foundation. Only when the physical fitness is improved to a high level can they better absorb the energy in the spirit stone and use it for themselves. Okay, let's start. After Liu finished speaking, the elves began to eat a lot. Although this food can only provide normal energy, it still tastes delicious. Liu, I have something to tell you. Just when Liu and her spirit were having dinner together, the mutant Iron Dumbbell suddenly found Liu. Nanny, Iron Dumbbell, what do you want to do with me? Liu asked puzzledly. Liu, I want to follow you, because I have a feeling in my heart, that is, only by following you can I become stronger. Iron Dumbbell explained. Follow me? Are you serious? Although he was very happy to have a new companion, Liu still wanted to know why he wanted to follow him. If it was just a feeling, it was too absurd. Well, how should I put it? In fact, when you were treating me, you used the special metal that was integrated into my body. While making me stronger, my intuition was also strengthened and more sensitive. Therefore, in my subconscious, I have a special feeling that only by following you can I get more opportunities to become stronger and even reach an unprecedented height. After careful thinking, Iron Dumbbell slowly said this to Liu. After that, he looked straight at Liu, hoping to hear his answer. Well, since you have decided, we certainly welcome the new companion to join us, but do your parents and Mutuo agree with your decision? Liu asked. After all, Iron Dumbbell is one of the elves on the new island, and Mutuo is like their head of the family. Liu is worried that, if he takes Iron Dumbbell away without discussing it with them, it will cause some misunderstandings. Don't worry, I have discussed it with them, and my parents agree with my decision. Tai Dumbbell said. In that case, we welcome you to join Tai Dumbbell, and we will be partners in the future. Come, meet your future companion. Liu is very welcome to Tai Dumbbell's joining, and this is also after careful consideration. First of all, because Liu's elf team lacks an existence that can bear damage, which is very fatal to an elf team. Moreover, as an excellent tank, Tai Dumbbell actually has the attack power of a warrior. It can be said that it is a very perfect existence. If there is a shortcoming, it is that it lacks defense and attack. It can be said that Tai Dumbbell is an elf that is very worthy of being conquered, not only because of his ability and talent, but also because there is a bond between Liu and Tai Dumbbell. Of course, Tai Dumbbell's talent is also an important reason why Liu is willing to accept him, because his talent is really against the sky. Thanks to the book friends who voted recently, Coke is very happy to receive everyone's support every day. Thank you very much. Newcomers and new books. The author Jun does not have much experience. I hope friends who like it can collect it. Please recommend, please comment, all kinds of requests. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 62, The Land of Mist. The Mysterious Man. Name, Iron Dumbbell. Attribute, Steel. Qualification, Level, Ordinary. Level 1. Ability, Talented Skill, Metal Absorption. Iron Dumbbell is born with an ability to strengthen himself by swallowing various metals. Already enabled, Heavy Armor Defense. Because of the fusion of the planetary core with amazing density, the body weight is comparable to that of a steel snake, and it can be immune to most physical damage. Already enabled, Learning Skill, Impact. Use all your strength to hit the opponent. I don't know if Iron Dumbbell is, because he absorbed that piece of special metal, so his qualifications are actually unknown. And Iron Dumbbell, who is only level 1, actually has 2 talents. The talent of metal swallowing is understandable, but this heavy armor defense is a bit abnormal. With a body only the size of a football, its weight is as high as 400 kilograms. No wonder he can be immune to most physical damage. Another reason why Liu wants to subdue Iron Dumbbell is that, because Liu has the advantage of entering the secret realm, so with the help of Zion and I, once he has strength, he can easily pass through various secret realms. At that time, he will definitely get more special metals, because Liu does not need to make weapons, armor or anything like that, so the metals he gets in the future can only be left there without any use. But it is different after conquering the Iron Dumbbell. It happens that the Iron Dumbbell can absorb metals to improve its own strength, and even some special metals can increase its ability. What Liu needs most now is defense ability, because although he is a cultivator, he cultivates immortal power, but his physical body is very weak, and he needs to find some body refining techniques to improve his defense. The appearance of the Iron Dumbbell can solve this problem, because Liu has the ability to share talents. After he upgrades his authority once, he can share the heavy defense talent of the Iron Dumbbell, and have the same physical immunity as him. It is no exaggeration to say that the Iron Dumbbell and Liu are definitely one of the most compatible elves. When the two of them meet, they can definitely complement each other's advantages and exert the strength of 1 + 1 greater than 2. The elves are very welcome to the addition of new companions, and with Liu's promotion, everyone quickly became familiar with each other, and for a time, the atmosphere was very harmonious. While Liu and the other elves were having dinner together, Cheomen came to a mysterious place. The foggy surroundings looked like a fairyland on Earth, and the occasional roar of beasts proved that there was life here. In the depths of the fog, there was only a very simple and plain cabin. Next to the cabin was a pond, and in the center of the pond was a lonely pavilion. In the pavilion, an energetic old man was resting his eyes leisurely. Suddenly, he seemed to feel something, and he suddenly opened his eyes and looked somewhere. "You are still the same as before, coming and going without a trace, mysterious. After so many years, you didn't even come to see me, your old friend." With a slight smile, the old man seemed to be talking to himself in the illusory air. "Humph. Aren't you still the same as before? Still so unwelcome by the Alliance, that's why you live in seclusion here?" The ethereal voice suddenly appeared, but no shadow could be seen at all, and it was unknown where the voice came from. Although the two of them looked familiar, the owner of the mysterious voice didn't want to come out, so they could only hear his voice, but couldn't see where he was. "Since you're here, don't you plan to meet me, your old friend? And you must have something to ask me for help. Otherwise, with your personality, you wouldn't come to see me even if I died." The old man didn't answer, but sighed and said softly, "Stop talking nonsense. I think you should know my recent whereabouts, and what happened recently, so you have to protect those elves for me. If that happens again, don't blame me for taking action." The voice snorted coldly, and the words with a chill echoed on the empty water. "Hey. Don't worry, I will help you take care of them, but why do you keep following that young man? Although I can restrain myself, other people don't think so." The old man wanted to say something, but suddenly stopped, speechless for a long time, not knowing what he was thinking. "It has changed. Everything is going to change. The mysterious boy, the dark movement, the natural anomaly, the emergence of the beast. Will it be a big change like 3,000 years ago?" Finally, after a long silence, the old man just sighed silently, with indescribable loneliness, worry, and helplessness on his face. Dividing line. "Boy, so leisurely, aren't you going to leave?" On the new island, Liu, who had finished dinner, was lying leisurely on the grass, ready to take a nap, but the sudden voice scared Liu so much that he almost died. Mutuo, can you please not speak so suddenly? If I'm scared to death by you, who can I complain to?" Looking at Mutuo with resentment, Liu said helplessly, "Stop talking so much nonsense. Do you want to go back or not? If you keep talking, don't ask me for help." Mutuo said, "Okay, I'm afraid of you. Let's go back now. If we finish the things over there, we can come back earlier." Liu looked at Mutuo and said after taking back a few Pokémon, "Yes." Seeing Mutuo nod, Liu silently said, crossing in his heart, and then Liu and Mutuo disappeared directly on the new island. In Liu's villa on Earth, it was the hottest time of the afternoon. The scorching sun shone on the earth, as if it wanted to roast everything. Liu, who returned to Earth again, felt a warm welcome instantly, because his car had been parked in the parking lot, and the weather was hot at this time. The temperature soared to more than 40 degrees. Liu was so hot that he didn't care to check the surrounding situation. He quickly opened the car door and got out of the car. Fortunately, no one was stupid enough to come out to bask in the sun at this time, so Liu, who suddenly appeared, was not discovered by anyone. After finally calming down, Liu turned on the car's air conditioner with lingering fear, then slowly got into the car and rushed home. After returning to Earth, Cheomeng directly teleported back to Liu's villa. As for why he didn't take Liu with him, it was because Liu was afraid of getting into trouble and refused. Liu rushed all the way and soon arrived at his villa. By the way, he called Shilin Fei on the way to report his safety, and made an appointment to have dinner together in the evening. This is a new book by a new author. The author does not have much experience. I hope friends who like it can collect it. Please recommend, please comment, please do anything. Chapter 63 Zumi Divine Ring, Heaven's Rebellion. Time passed slowly, and in the blink of an eye it was evening. Liu first prepared dinner for several elves. Of course Mutuo didn't need it. Then Liu told several elves not to run around, and drove out of the villa and headed towards Shilin Fei's home. When Liu arrived at Shilin Fei's house, they had already prepared dinner, and were waiting for him. Seeing this, Liu felt a little embarrassed. After all, as a junior, he had to let the elders wait for him to eat, and she was his future mother-in-law. Li Yu was so nervous. Fortunately, the master's wife was not the kind of person who cared about everything. When she saw Li Yu coming, she directly pulled him to the table enthusiastically, and kept adding dishes to him, and kept asking about Li Yu's well-being, and inquired about Li Yu's thoughts and decisions after graduation. Mom. Shi Linfei called the master's wife dissatisfiedly, and then looked at her helplessly. The meaning was self-evident. Okay, Fifi. Auntie is also for the good of both of us. I was planning to discuss this with you. Now is the perfect time to talk to you. Because I'm about to graduate, I plan to take Fifi home to meet my parents, and I also want to bring them here. Then we can live together, and Fifi and I can take care of you. After saying his thoughts in one breath, Li Yu looked at the teacher's wife expectantly, hoping to hear an answer of agreement. Well, since you really love each other, I agree that you can take Fifi home to meet your parents. But as Fifi's mother, I still hope that you must take good care of her and never let her down. The teacher's wife's eyes were filled with tears, and her face was full of reluctance, as if Li Yu had taken her baby away. It seems to be like this? Mom. Seeing her mother's sad look, Shi Linfei's eyes were immediately blurred with tears, and her feelings of emotion were beyond words. Don't worry, Auntie. If I let Fifi down, you can punish me however you want. I will take Fifi to get the marriage certificate after graduation, so you won't have to worry about it. But I still have a career to pursue, so we can only wait until next year to get married. In order to reassure his master's wife, Li Yu also tried his best and chose to get the marriage certificate first and get married later. Although this decision was a bit abrupt, Li Yu felt that this was the best way to reassure his master's wife. Okay. Hearing Li Yu's assurance, his master's wife looked at Li Yu and his daughter with satisfaction, and the smile on her face never disappeared. Humph. Shi Linfei shyly rolled her eyes at Li Yu, but the joy, shyness, excitement, and longing in her eyes merged into something called love. The meal was a happy one for both the host and the guest. Li Yu and Shi Linfei officially confirmed their relationship, and they only had to wait until Li Yu brought his parents over so that the two families could meet. Li Yu, be careful on the road. After being with Shi Linfei for a while, Li Yu finally drove away with Shi Linfei's farewell. When he returned home, several elves had already started to rest, but Mutuo was still sitting quietly in the hall. Li Yu was embarrassed to disturb Mutuo, so he went upstairs to wash and sleep. The next day, because he had something on his mind, Li Yu got up early, brushed his teeth, and washed his face, and had dinner with the elves. Then he took back the elves, and teleported with Mutuo to the bottom of the endless sea of the East China Sea. Deep under the sea, because Li Yu's flying skateboard had its own space, and was impervious to water and fire, Li Yu sat in it directly, and played the flying skateboard like a submarine. Zion Ni, and Wu Ni, whether you can find your lost brother next depends on you. After calling out the two spirits, Li Yu said, and handed over the control of the flying skateboard to Zion Ni, with a little expectation in his tone. After all, if he found China Ni, he could not only merge again, to get the task reward, but also get the small world he had long dreamed of. Well, don't worry. Perhaps because Zion Ni was the first to be refined, and the most valued, he has always been the eldest brother among the three brothers, while Wu Ni is the second. Cheyenne Ni was created last, so he often obeys the decisions of his two brothers. Watching Zion Ni control the flying skateboard to shuttle through the sea according to their special induction, Li Yu was also very excited because he was about to harvest a super artifact here, and it was a space-based existence that defied the heavens. All along, what Li Yu most desired was to be able to obtain a small world treasure like Cheyenne Ni. Because of him, Li Yu can let the elves live in it and no longer have to stay alone in the elf ball. Now, the desire is finally going to become a reality. How can Li Yu not be excited? Relying on the speed of the flying skateboard, Li Yu and others spent nearly an hour and finally came to an abyss of 5 or 6 kilometers under the sea. Master, Cheyenne Ni's aura is coming from this deep sea bed. After saying something to Li Yu, Zion Ni controlled the flying skateboard and headed directly into the dark abyss. After diving for nearly 2,000 meters again, the flying skateboard finally stopped, and then without waiting for Li Yu's order, Zion and Wu and I walked out of the inner space of the flying skateboard. As for whether they would worry about the pressure of the seawater or something, that was not a problem at all. Zion and the others were all super artifact spirits, and they had also been systematically transformed and strengthened, so they had no feeling, or even obstacles to the huge pressure on the seabed. However, Li Yu did not have such treatment. Although he was now at the Zuan level, his physical body was at most immune to ordinary swords and guns. If he encountered bullets, shells, missiles, etc., it would still be over. After a while, Zion and Wu and I came back with an inconspicuous black ring. The ring was dark black, and 3 mysterious runes were engraved on it. Li Yu guessed that this should be the name left by Zion and I's master Wu and I Shan when he was refining it, but Li Yu didn't know the details. Master, this is a last brother Shan and I. After handing the ring to Li Yu, Zion and Wu and I stared at him with their eyes, hoping that he would quickly restore Shan and I. Well, even if you want Shan and I to come out earlier, it's useless to look at me like this. Li Yu was helpless, because the ring was also in his hands, but the system didn't have any prompts, and he didn't know whether it could be fused. Ding, unknown items were found. After inspection, it was found that it can be fused. Ding, because the system does not have this function, it cannot be directly fused. Ding, please ask if you want to spend 50,000 points to force the fusion. Newcomer and new book. The author does not have much experience. I hope friends who like it can collect it. Please recommend. Please comment. Please ask. Chapter 64. Fusion refining a clone. What? Are you kidding? It's fine if you don't have this function, but now you want to merge it, and you want me to spend money? Li Yu was so angry. This system is not powerful. It doesn't have the function of dimensional space. Now you can have this function, as long as you merge with the Zumi God Ring. But this system doesn't thank Li Yu for giving him a reward, and it actually costs so many points. You know, Li Yu only has 70,000 points. He got it with great difficulty. Whether he can have such good luck to get so many points again in the future is still a question. But what can Li Yu do when he is helpless? There is no way to disagree. Who made Li Yu want to get the small world so much? He doesn't have the strength to restore the Zumi God Ring. And after thinking about it carefully, Li Yu was relieved. After all, it is definitely not so easy for this system to increase its capabilities. It is normal to need some price, so in the end, this unknown price can only be paid by Li Yu. Agree. Helplessly, Li Yu finally chose to agree to the fusion. The 50,000 points disappeared quickly, and Li Yu now only had 20,000 points. Li Yu originally planned to spend the points on Charmander and Zaocean, because Charmander was about to evolve, but he couldn't find that feeling, so he couldn't evolve. Charmander was very angry and anxious about this, and he was also irritable, so sometimes he couldn't control himself. This was obviously because he pursued power too much, but he had a demonic obsession. Therefore, Li Yu wanted to let Charmander go to Wu Enai's Shending space for training. The Shending space said that it could allow the elves to feel the power of evolution, but in fact, it was also through various hard training that they could hone their minds under heavy pressure and break through themselves. Zaocean was the same. Not only could he not control his power as he wanted, but he also lacked attack methods. This was his most fatal shortcoming, so Li Yu wanted Zaocean to enter the Shending space for training and learning. Ding, confirm the fusion. Automatically deduct 50,000 points. Fusion in progress. Time required, 1 day. After confirmation, the system's voice came at the right time, but perhaps because this fusion was special, the time required was changed from the previous instant fusion success to a day and 24 hours. Okay, Zion Ni, Wu Ni, Cheyenne Ni will be restored and appear in front of you tomorrow, so don't look at me like that, it's disgusting. Li Yu said helplessly to the two spirits with his hands spread out. Because the expressions of Zion and the others were so strange, it was easy to cause misunderstandings, and even if no one saw it, Li Yu felt uncomfortable. Damn, I'm not gay. No, I'm not a spirit. Haha. Haha. Zion and Wu and laughed dryly and quickly restrained their expressions, because after Li Yu chose to confirm the fusion, they also received the system's prompt sound, so they also knew that Li Yu paid almost all of his points for their brotherly reunion, so they were still very moved. Although the system also has many benefits for Li Yu after the fusion of Xian and I, it has nothing to do with Zion and I and the others. They only know that Li Yu has paid a lot for them. At this time, Meng, who had been sitting on the side for a long time, did not say anything after seeing Li Yu finish his work. Even when he saw Zion and Wu and I, whom he had never seen before, there was only a flash of curiosity in his eyes, but he did not have any thoughts of asking. After the teleportation was activated, Li Yu and his party left the abyss directly and appeared again in Li Yu's villa. Li Yu was very grateful to Meng. Although Meng was usually silent and indifferent, Li Yu could see Meng's inner desire from some details. Meng was very disgusted and distrustful of humans because of some painful memories in the past, but after experiencing certain people and things, the obsession in his heart also dissipated. However, due to his indifference all the time, Meng, who was not good at speaking, did not know how to get along with people, but deep in his heart, he still looked forward to that kind of sincere friendship. This can be seen from Meng's tireless protection of the elves on the new island, and the details of taking Li Yu home with him just now. Meng is actually very eager for friendship. Haha, what a proud guy. Without saying anything more, Li Yu just smiled slightly and then took out all the materials in the space ring. After so many days of delay, Li Yu was finally ready to refine the clone. However, because of the treatment of Tai Yaling and others, Li Yu consumed a lot of metal materials, so he was not sure whether he could successfully refine the clone. Wu and I, do you think these materials are enough to refine the clone? Looking at Wu and I with expectation, Li Yu wanted to hear a satisfactory answer. Don't worry, master. In fact, these materials are already quite a lot. It is not a problem to refine 2 or 3 clones. Just watch. In just 1 hour, I can refine a perfect clone for you. Wu and I patted his chest and promised Li Yu with certainty. Well, then I'll trouble you. Nodding, Li Yu didn't say anything more and directly let Wu and I choose the materials to refine the clone. After all, he didn't know anything, so he just had to wait quietly for the result. Nothing. After answering, Wu and I began to search in the pile of materials. Well, that's all. After a while, Wu and I selected the materials, said something to Li Yu, and went back to the Washan cauldron to refine a clone for Li Yu. An hour later. Okay, master, the clone has been refined. What do you think? Are you satisfied? After waiting for an hour in boredom, Li Yu finally heard the good news from Wu and I, and was immediately delighted. Then Li Yu saw a person who looked exactly like him, appearing directly in front of him, as if looking in a mirror. Li Yu had a feeling of unreality. Looking left and right, Li Yu was quite curious about his clone. After all, being able to have a clone is not something that anyone can see. But soon Li Yu lost interest, because although the clone is very interesting, the clone now has no self-awareness at all, so it is just like the wax figures of those stars, only more exquisite. Moreover, wax figures are not unique and rare in this era. Li Yu has seen a lot of them, so he is not so interested. Thinking of this, Li Yu stopped looking at the clone boredly and prepared to start using the exercises to condense the spiritual body. Newcomer and new book. The author does not have much experience. I hope friends who like it can collect it. Please recommend. Please comment please. Chapter 65 Spiritual Body. Since Zion and I gave Li Yu the technique last time, perhaps because of his extraordinary talent, or perhaps because this technique was not difficult, Li Yu quickly mastered the basic principles and gained some experience in condensing the spiritual body. Well, I'll try it first, but I don't know if it will work. I hope it will work. Although there may be danger, Li Yu is very confident in himself. Just like when he learned the 5-element yin and yang ju, he is confident that he can learn and use it quickly. As the technique was running, Li Yu gradually condensed the mental power in the Niwen Palace, and then formed a human-shaped spiritual body. However, this spiritual body was still relatively vague, and Li Yu's shadow could not be seen at all. Moreover, this spiritual body was like a character in a black and white TV, with a figure constantly pulling, and it was not able to completely condense into a human form for a while. Time passed slowly, and as mental power was continuously input into the spiritual body was about to take shape completely, and it already had 70% of Liu's appearance. But suddenly the figure of the spirit body trembled and dissipated directly in the Niwen Palace. Liu's spiritual power was completely exhausted. It's so uncomfortable. Because a lot of spiritual power was consumed, Liu felt as if his head was hit by a sledgehammer. He had a splitting headache, felt heavy and lightheaded, and there were little stars everywhere in front of his eyes. He quickly took out the potion that he bought in the magical continent and drank it. Only then did Liu feel better. But he still felt a little uncomfortable. He just wanted to lie on the bed and sleep for 3 days and 3 nights. After another hour, Liu finally recovered, but this time Liu didn't dare to try it easily. He first prepared a few bottles of potion to restore the spirit, and then began to condense the spirit body again. Sure enough, after this preparation, Liu easily condensed it again to the point of being about to take shape. But perhaps because of the need for quantitative change and qualitative change, Liu drank several bottles of spiritual potion in a row, but he couldn't cross the last step. After more than 10 minutes, Liu's mental medicine was completely exhausted. He immediately felt something was wrong. As his mental power was constantly absorbed by the spirit body, Liu's spirit could not be replenished in time. As one grew stronger, the other weaker. Liu's face became paler and his body began to tremble. Even the spirit body in the Niwen Palace wanted to disintegrate again because of insufficient mental power. Because this spirit body wanted to leave the body and become Liu's clone soul, it needed to absorb a lot of mental energy, and then the quantitative change would reach a qualitative change and finally form a new soul. But with Liu's current strength, he simply did not have so much mental power for the spirit body to absorb, so the situation of neither up nor down was caused. But deep in his heart, Liu did not want to give up so easily. Liu, who was mentally exhausted, slowly raised his head and looked at Mutuo, who was sitting on the side. It was self-evident that he wanted to get Mutuo's help. Mutuo did not hesitate. Although he had been watching Liu before, he would not take the initiative to do anything, even if Liu was in danger, otherwise he would not be Mutuo. However, when he saw Liu actively asking for help, it was different. Without hesitation, Mutuo teleported directly in front of Liu, and the invisible spiritual power surged, instantly entering the depths of Liu's Niwen Palace. Because Liu did not resist at all, Mutuo's spiritual power easily entered Liu's Niwen Palace. But even if Liu resisted, it seemed useless. After all, the gap in strength between the two was too big. After Liu's spiritual body felt Mutuo's spiritual power, it was like a traveler in the desert finally saw an oasis, and excitedly rushed towards Mutuo's spiritual power. And because Mutuo did not resist, his endless pure and powerful spiritual power was eaten away by the spiritual body bit by bit. After absorbing a large amount of spiritual power, the spiritual body became more and more condensed, and finally directly turned into a soul man who was exactly the same as Liu, but with a different body size. Although a person's soul cannot be formed so easily, the current soul man is enough to enter the clone and become a new Liu, living on the earth instead of him. Under the guidance of Zion and I, Cheo Meng took the soul man condensed by Liu out of the Niwen Palace, and then transferred it to the head of the clone, a place specially made for storing the soul man. The brain of this clone was made by Wu and I using a large number of materials that are very beneficial to the soul, such as Yangshan wood and Zuan Ling crystal. Through his superb forging techniques, it can be said that as long as there are no accidents, Liu's soul man can continue to become stronger in the clone until it reaches the upper limit of the ability of these materials and can no longer improve the spiritual strength of the soul man. Buzz. La. La. Ah. Ha. Ha. After the soul man entered the brain of the clone, for some reason, the clone puppet seemed to be crazy, humming non-stop. Maybe it was because Liu's soul man had not yet adapted to the clone, so this happened. Although he believed in Wu Enai's powerful technology and Zion Enai's magical skills, Liu still couldn't help but worry. But the result did not disappoint Liu. After the clone went crazy for a while, all its movements stopped instantly, and even its eyes were closed. Then, as if it was restarting, the clone's eyes suddenly opened, raised its hands in front of its eyes, and began to observe its own body. After seeing Liu, it was as if it had seen a new world. It ran to Liu's side and looked around, and even wanted to reach out and touch Liu. Damn it. Liu yelled and quickly dodged. He didn't like being touched by a man, even if that person was himself, but there was still a sense of disobedience. Haha. Haha. As if knowing that his behavior was a bit embarrassing, the clone laughed dryly twice and stood aside and looked at Liu helplessly. Do you have your own consciousness? Or are you a fool? Seeing the clone's appearance, Liu was really worried that he would not create a fool. If it was true, it would be fun. Original body, it's not nice to say that about yourself. I'm a fool, but what are you? I'm just curious and excited because I just came out. The clone looked at Liu speechlessly, his face froze, and then he complained helplessly. Huh, it seems so. Isn't scolding you the same as scolding myself? There is actually such a setting. Liu muttered to himself. Everyone was stunned. A new author and a new book. The author does not have much experience. I hope friends who like it can collect it. Please recommend. Please comment. Please do anything. Chapter 66 Selling Gems Again. Seeing Liu's stupid look, everyone stared at the sky in silence, not knowing what to say. Muto was even more direct. He didn't bother to pay attention to the nervous Liu and disappeared in an instant and returned to his room. That's right, in Liu's villa, basically every elf has a separate room. Although Charmander and the others may not live there, this is Liu's basic respect for them. Seeing Muto's silent contempt, Liu was really fucked up in his heart. He looked at the clone with a face full of complaints, but who knew that the clone spread his hands, and the meaning was self-evident. Blame me. The time for relaxation passed quickly, and it was noon in a blink of an eye. After lunch was hastily finished, Liu asked the clone to stay at home and not go out, otherwise it would be troublesome if he was discovered. The clone can only appear when Liu leaves the earth and arrives at the magical continent, otherwise it will be easy to cause problems. Liu's task today is to continue selling gems and then use the money to buy a store. This is what he had thought of a long time ago. Open a store and let his parents run it so that they won't worry about Liu not doing his job properly. They can also bring Liu's parents to Lanjiang on the grounds that they need employees. Otherwise, given their honest and nostalgic personalities, the chances of them living in the city with Liu are slim. But with a shop, it's different. In order to save money for Liu, take care of Liu, and see their daughter-in-law, the chances of them agreeing to live with Liu in Lanjiang will definitely increase greatly. When he came to Dafu Jewelry again, he was still the familiar manager Zhang. After all, Liu was still very satisfied with his service attitude at the beginning, and Liu didn't want to bargain with others anymore. On the contrary, Liu liked manager Zhang's attitude towards people. Oh, brotherly, it's been a long time since we last met. You must have brought me good news this time. When he saw Liu, manager Zhang was a little overwhelmed. Although the ruby ring that Liu sold was very precious, it had been nearly a month after all, and his memory of Liu was a little fuzzy. But after thinking carefully, manager Zhang immediately remembered Liu. After all, although he had forgotten a little, Liu still left a deep impression on him. Haha, manager Zhang, you are too polite. I came here this time just to make some money, but I don't know if manager Zhang welcomes it. You should not hit a smiling person. Although Liu had only done business with manager Zhang once, when he saw Liu again, manager Zhang still welcomed him with such a warm attitude. Liu felt that if he did not do business with him, he would not be able to live with his conscience. Perhaps this is where manager Zhang is smart. He is smooth and cautious. It is difficult for such a person to be hated by others, but on the contrary, it is easy for people to remember him. Just kidding. How can you push away business that comes to you? Don't worry, brotherly, I will definitely give you the most sincere price. Hearing that Liu came with business, manager Zhang was immediately very happy. After the ruby ring he purchased last time was sent to the headquarters, he was personally commended by the big boss. If there is something of the same quality this time, it is not impossible for him to get a promotion and a raise. Well, that's troublesome. Following Manager Zhang to the box, Li Yu sat there quietly, waiting for the jewelry appraiser to come. Not long after, a familiar figure appeared in front of Li Yu. It was indeed Mr. Zhao. With a slight smile, Li Yu stood up and shook hands with Mr. Zhao. The three of them sat down. Li Yu did not keep them in suspense and directly took out 3 gem rings of the same quality from his pocket. However, this time they were not rubies, but purple gems, sapphires and yellow gems. Li Yu bought these after searching online, because according to the information on the internet, the rarest gems now are purple and yellow. As for the sapphire, it was also bought by Li Yu to avoid attracting attention. Hiss. Seeing Li Yu casually taking out 3 gem rings from his pocket, which were obviously valuable, Manager Zhang and Mr. Zhao took a breath at the same time. They had seen this kind of transaction seen before, but it was the first time they saw it as casual as Li Yu. Damn, if this was a real gem ring, not to mention its rarity and value, just the fact that it was in the pocket would make people envious and crazy. Well, I was in a hurry and forgot to prepare it. Don't mind. Li Yu said to Manager Zhang and the others embarrassedly. Haha. Haha. Another invisible pretense instantly gave Manager Zhang and the other two 10,000 points of critical damage. What else could they say about Li Yu's answer? They just laughed dryly twice and didn't respond. Well, in order to ease the awkward atmosphere, Mr. Zhao directly picked up the gem ring and began to seriously identify it, while Li Yu and Manager Zhang drank tea and waited for the result quietly. However, Li Yu was very confident about his gem ring, but his belief did not mean that others would believe it, so the basic process was still needed. 10 minutes later, a satisfactory result appeared in Manager Zhang's ears, and the rest of the matter was simple. After applying to the higher-ups, Manager Zhang reached a deal with Li Yu directly. After all, it was a business worth hundreds of millions. The transaction was completed. Manager Zhang achieved his own performance, and Mr. Zhao, as an appraiser, was also satisfied to see so many perfect gem products. The happiest person was Li Yu. In just a short while, his net worth soared from millions to hundreds of millions, which could be said to be more Navo-rich than Nalvo-rich. With money, Li Yu bought a jewelry store that was not going to be transferred at a high price on the commercial street in the city center. The store and the goods were transferred directly for 22 million yuan. Of course, these goods only included those in the store, which were worth only 1 or 2 million yuan in total, and the goods in the warehouse were taken away directly by the owner. For Li Yu's richness, the owner directly transferred the store to him without hesitation. After all, it is not easy to find a buyer like Li Yu who is stupid and rich. If Li Yu knew the owner's thoughts, he would definitely refuse in his heart, but he would never know. After all, it is still a question whether he can meet him again. All kinds of formalities were finally completed, and the store finally came into his hands, but Li Yu closed the store immediately afterwards. After all, although there were ready-made goods to sell, he did not buy it for business. However, in order to open the store smoothly, Li Yu still needs to prepare some inventory, even if it is just for show. Otherwise it will be too conspicuous, and it is easy for people to find flaws. Newcomer and new book. The author does not have much experience. I hope friends who like it can collect it. Please recommend, please review, please do anything. Chapter 67 Heading to Burma. Another very important thing is that Li Yu will graduate in the last week. Before that, he has to solve all the problems and then go to school to apply for direct graduation. In that case, Li Yu can go home and pick up his parents immediately. Once all the problems are solved, Li Yu can be relaxed and put himself into the magical continent better and formally start his adventure upgrade journey with a new attitude. An afternoon passed slowly in the process of Li Yu constantly collecting information. Because he was going to Burma to collect those jades, in addition to preparing inventory for his own shop, he also wanted to get some energy jades, so that he could have a certain economic foundation in the magical continent. Although Li Yu can also prepare ordinary food for the elves, he wants to better tap the potential of the elves and grow to a higher level. It requires not only daily training, but also the food to eat and the way to relax. Before, because Li Yu did not have enough financial resources, he had never considered these issues. But now it is different. Since he has returned to Earth, he has a lot of opportunities to collect and prepare energy stones, so as to improve his economic strength and strengthen his foundation. Although it is somewhat immoral to plunder foreigners' jade, those places were not originally theirs. They can grab the land and resources, so why can't Liu? By querying information, Liu learned that Myanmar is now mainly occupied by two forces. One is located in Pingsao area, headed by Satang and his revolutionary army. The other is located in Kanglian area, headed by Zabu, which gathers a large number of armed groups from local tribes. It can be said that these two forces firmly control the entire Myanmar. As for those small forces, they are struggling to survive under the feet of these two huge forces, and they are worried that they may be destroyed one day. Almost all of Myanmar's jade is controlled by these two huge forces. The annual transaction volume is as high as more than 2.5 billion US dollars. It can be said that the profit is amazing. It is no wonder that so many countries are fighting for this place. Although Myanmar's jade has been mined continuously for countless years, the amount of jade still buried deep underground is still huge and incalculable. And Liu just wants to rely on his treasure hunting instrument, plus the speed advantage of the flying skateboard, to go to Myanmar to plunder. As for whether he was worried about whether he had enough time to mine, Liu said he was not worried at all, because the monster puppets he had obtained in the secret realm before were natural labor. Some people may worry about safety issues, but Liu's flying skateboard is not just used as a means of transportation. Although Liu's flying skateboard does not have a weapon attack system, he does not believe that anyone can stop him just by relying on his ability to reach the speed of sound in an instant. Moreover, Myanmar's territory is not large, and it is definitely not something that those forces can control firmly. There are always some places that are not guarded by soldiers. Therefore, Liu can specifically choose those unmanned places and then rely on monster puppets to mine, and he only needs to wait for the harvest. After the dinner with Shilinfei and several roommates, Liu sent Shilinfei back home, rushed all the way to the villa, and then quietly drove the flying skateboard to Myanmar. Because the flying skateboard also has a signal shielding function, perhaps this function is not very useful on the magical continent, but on Earth it is like a magic weapon, and it is not easily detected by those radars. Just as Liu was on his way to Myanmar, the system's prompt sound suddenly came, which made Liu even more excited and excited. He was so excited that he exploded. Finally, I will finally have my own world. Holding back the excitement in his heart, Liu's slightly trembling voice echoed in the skateboard space. Ding, the fusion of the Zumi Divine Ring is complete, and the system world is officially opened. Please check it yourself. Ding, due to the host's unremitting efforts, new functions have been added to the system. A subsystem is specially awarded, the redemption system. Please check it yourself. As the system's prompt sound ended, Liu only felt that something suddenly seemed to have appeared in the depths of his eyebrows, giving people a mysterious feeling. After carefully probing with his mental power, Liu saw a colorful bead spinning in the Nawan Palace. Although he didn't know what this mysterious colorful bead was, but Liu didn't know why, he actually felt a kind of intimacy in his heart, as if the colorful beads were like his relatives. I don't know why I have this strange feeling, but Liu didn't feel any discomfort or crisis, as if he subconsciously knew that the colorful beads that suddenly appeared would not pose a threat to him. Although he was curious about the fusion of the system world, which turned into a mysterious colorful bead, Liu didn't think much about it, just thinking it was the system's work. While Liu was checking the specific information of the system world, far away in a vague place in the magical continent, a white and gold figure was floating in the air at this time, and the looming powerful momentum drove the surrounding clouds to churn. And at a certain moment, the white and gold figure suddenly opened his eyes, and the surrounding sea of clouds churned continuously, as if the end of the world was coming, surging violently, instantly blocking all sights. I didn't expect that at this time, you finally awakened, and you also merged miles late. Maybe you can really help me in the future. In this case, let me help you one last time. I hope you can grow up soon and solve him, because I don't have much time. The intermittent voice echoed in the misty space. This voice seemed to have a mysterious power, trying to clear the heavy clouds, but the lingering clouds were simply endless and continuous. The scene turned back to the protagonist. At this time, Liu was excitedly observing this new world in the system world with Charmander and others. Just like Granny Liu entering the Grandview Garden, Liu was in the system world, flying around aimlessly, and no one knew what he wanted to do. With the introduction of the system, Liu also roughly understood the specific information of this world. The system world has a total area of nearly the size of the Earth, but the terrain is a flat continent, not a spherical continent like the Earth, just like the round sky and square Earth in ancient Chinese legends. This is a new book by a new author, and I don't have much experience. I hope friends who like it can collect it. Please recommend, please comment, please do anything. Chapter 68, Awesome System World. At the end of the system world, Liu, who came here, found that his sight was shrouded by a strange energy, making it impossible for him to see the situation outside. Although this strange energy is invisible and intangible, it does exist, tightly wrapping the entire system world, making it impossible for people to go out, let alone see the situation outside. Although Liu was very curious about this, he knew nothing about the laws of time and space, and he didn't know where to start studying. Although Liu's 5-element yin and yang ju contains methods for understanding the laws of time and space attributes, he can only start to learn when his strength reaches the emperor level, and even if he learns, he only learns some superficial things. However, because this system world belongs to Liu, he can follow his own wishes and change the appearance of this world at will, and Liu can also give this authority to others, which is convenient for him to train elves of different attributes. And for some reason, the concentration of spiritual energy in this system world is comparable to that of the magical continent, or even better. In this way, Liu's elves can continue to improve their strength just by living here, and he can also practice in the system world. Liu in the system world was excited, controlling the mountains and rivers like a god, changing them into the terrain he liked, and also built several super skyscrapers in the center of the world. But then Liu felt that this was not right, and he always felt uncomfortable looking at them, so he tore down those buildings and built several quaint palaces instead. Just like the ancient kings, sitting on the dragon chair in the hall, Liu felt a sense of heroism. Liu was very envious when he saw those emperors sitting on the dragon chair to attend court, since he was a child, because the emperor could not only control the entire country, but also have 3,000 beauties, which made him yearn for a long time. And Liu's elves were also very happy at this time, and they were very excited to build their own territory. Because Liu gave them authority, the little fire dragons could also control the changes in the terrain and build their own houses. In addition, this system world has another very important advantage, which is that it can facilitate any kind of training of elves. Whether it is training strength, speed or agility, as long as the mind moves, the surrounding scene will change accordingly. This world is like having wisdom. No matter what you need, it can change it. Of course, those outrageous things are definitely impossible. For example, what if you want a magic weapon? Change into a dragon, although it is possible, but what you get is a dead thing with only appearance, without any practical ability, just looking good. Liu's several elves quickly built their own territories. Among them, the little dragon built the stone circle that Liu made when he trained him. At a glance, it can be seen that this is for the little dragon to train. Because the little dragon now only knows alloy claws, howling, sparks and dragon's anger, he needs to practice these skills constantly so that he can comprehend new power from them and take the opportunity to break through and evolve into a fire dinosaur. Butterfree chose a forest as its territory. Under Butterfree's setting, this forest is exactly the same as an ordinary forest when resting, but when training, those trees will automatically grow countless tentacles to block Butterfree's progress. In this way, Butterfree can improve his agility while practicing telekinesis skills, improving his attack power and the skills of using telekinesis. Magikarp built a waterfall on the sea that would automatically increase in height. Whenever he crossed the waterfall would automatically increase in height, which was convenient for Magikarp to use for training. Moreover, the impact force of the waterfall that fell straight down was also blocking his progress. While constantly honing his will, it would also continuously improve his defense. Not far from Magikarp's waterfall, a small island with a radius of 100 meters appeared on the endless sea. This island was built by the water otter. Although he said that he didn't like his tribes, after all, they had lived together for so many years. After leaving, he would always miss the days when they lived and fought together, and this island was the best proof. Under the design of the water otter, this island would automatically emerge from the ground at this time. Many stone men, and the purpose of the water otter was to attack these stone men by sending out various supermarkets. Because the stone man didn't know where he would appear, this not only trained his reaction ability, but also trained his proficiency in moves and the speed of attack. What Scyther built was like the Colosseum in the Middle Ages, a playground-sized ring. Every time he trained, a Scyther that looked exactly like him would appear on the ring. However, this Scyther was definitely not a real life form, but was just condensed by stones. However, under the control of the system world, it would have a certain consciousness. Although it did not have real wisdom, it was enough for Scyther to fight. Because Scyther's battle did not require any skills, it was just a collision of moves, and a collision of strength. Such training could not only train Scyther's combat awareness, but also continuously improve his defense in collisions again and again. The last Cassie was very simple. He did not need any training. He just found a room at random, and then lay there leisurely and slept non-stop. Cassie may be ready to evolve now, so he is more sleepy than usual. Maybe one day in the future, Cassie will evolve in his sleep. The latest addition, Iron Dumbbell, built a training ground that is also a square. In this square countless stones fall from the sky every time you train. The training of Iron Dumbbell is to use your body to hit these falling stones, change the direction of the falling stones to avoid being hit, or directly smash them. Such training can not only enhance Iron Dumbbell's impact skills, but also increase his flexibility in dodging. Although Iron Dumbbell has amazing defense, if there is no agility, it is useless if you can't hit others in battle. Zyoshin and Zyobei are even simpler, because they are all divine beasts. So what they need most is to comprehend the source of power and create their own power. Although the necessary physical fitness training is also indispensable for Zyoshin and Zyobei, only comprehending the source of power is the most important. If you pursue the improvement of physical fitness, on the contrary, it is a behavior of putting the cart before the horse. Mewtwo is even simpler. It directly created a mountain that soars into the sky. Its height is definitely comparable to Mount Everest, or even higher. Maybe masters are all lonely. Looking at Mewtwo standing alone on the top of the mountain, Liu seemed to be able to feel his loneliness and the arrogance in his heart. This is a new book by a new author. The author does not have much experience. I hope friends who like it can collect it. Please recommend, please comment, please do anything. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 69, Exchange System. Let's not talk about Liu's feelings for now, let's talk about the system again. Although he didn't get the reward for the task, perfecting the system, this time, Liu felt that the rewards attached to the system world in the exchange system that were opened were still very generous. I won't talk much about the system world. As for the exchange system, as the name suggests, it is to exchange various items in the system through points. Although there will be no very heaven-defying items in the system, you can exchange for things used to restore physical strength, mental potions, potions that remove various abnormal states, various fruits used to make elf food, and even some technological creations here. Of course, the more powerful things are, the more points are required, and what Liu lacks most now is points. In order to fuse the Zumi God Ring, he directly consumed 50,000 of his points. So what Liu lacks most now is points. With only 20,000 points, he can buy very limited things. The source of points is also very wide. In addition to completing tasks to get points, Liu can also exchange points in the system through energy stones, but this exchange ratio, 10,000 to 1, that's right, 10,000 energy points can only be exchanged for 1 point. Although this ratio is a bit scary, you have to know how huge the jade reserves on the earth are. As long as Liu works hard, not to mention too much, just let him exchange some elves, training and life items are still enough. And more importantly, energy stones do not only refer to jade, but also include those spiritual stones that Liu got in the secret realm. Judging from the huge energy contained in the spiritual stones, as long as he is willing to use them, he can definitely run to a well-off life in an instant. But for these spiritual stones, Liu actually has a plan in his mind, and he must not waste them on exchanging points. After all, there are other ways to get points, but spiritual stones require Liu to get them in the secret realm. With his current strength, he still has the will, but not the strength to pass through the secret realms left by those strong men. As for the last time Liu was lucky enough to pass through the secret realm of Master Xuanyang, it was because Xuanyang originally planned to leave a legacy, and did not force the inheritor to death. And some strong men set up their inheritance secret realms like hell. If you can get through, you are awesome. Some strong men even didn't intend to leave a legacy, just to show their power, strength and status. However, this also made Liu more motivated, and he worked harder to complete the task and collect more energy stones, so that he could get more points, and then exchange them for what he needed. Let the elves exercise in the system world, and Liu left the system world directly. When he appeared in the outside world, it was already midnight. People at this time were the most sleepy. Of course, the people here refer to those who stay up late. After setting off again, Liu soon arrived in Myanmar. According to the information he had found on the internet before, he came to a valley surrounded by mountains. A long time ago, a jade vein with amazing reserves was discovered here. It's just that, because it is located at the junction of two spheres of influence, no one on both sides dared to mine it openly. Therefore, this vein was miraculously preserved, and it was on the headlines of various countries for this reason. It is precisely because of this that he knew that there was an amazing reserve of jade here, and this was exactly the place where there was no one from any power guarding it. After all, this could easily cause contradictions and conflicts. This also made it convenient for Liu, so that he could mine ore easily and casually without worrying about being discovered. Standing on the flying skateboard and holding the treasure hunting instrument in his hand, Liu began to search in this valley. Hard work pays off. With the help of Zunbaoye, Liu quickly found the location of the jade mine. Unlike other places, there were no towering trees growing here, but weeds. People could not see any shadows after entering. Sure. Swish. Swish. Buzz. Controlling the spiritual energy in his body, several wind blades were sent out in an instant, directly flattening the weeds, and then a gust of wind blew, and a flat open space appeared in front of Liu. According to the prompts of the treasure hunting instrument, Liu knew that there were a lot of jade hidden under this open space. Without hesitation, he directly took out all the monster puppets that he had obtained in the secret realm from the space ring. Unfortunately, there were two monster puppets among them, whose prototypes were actually Earth-type monsters, and they were very good at the simple task of digging. Under his command, the two Earth-type demon beast puppets started digging underground, while the other demon beast puppets served as the labor force for transportation. As for Liu, he stood aside, and from time to time, according to the prompts of the treasure hunting instrument, he directed the demon beasts to dig in different directions. With the help of several demon beast puppets, a large mine pit was soon dug out, with a depth of about 7 or 8 meters. At this depth, there was already a faint green, and it seemed that it was not far from digging out the real jade mine. Sure enough, after digging about 5 or 6 meters down again, a large green jade mine appeared in front of Liu. Liu was very happy in his heart. He directly ordered the demon beasts to dig out the jaden stones directly. After all, he didn't have extra time to carefully separate the jaden stones. And anyway, the system world is large enough, and it is not easy to store these jades, so Liu decided to dig out these jades first, put them in the system world, and then slowly separate them after returning. He kept digging all the way down, and he didn't know how long he had been digging. When Liu saw that the sky outside was already dawning, he gave up the idea of continuing to dig. Although he didn't know how much jade he had dug, after nearly a few hours of continuous digging, Liu believed that the final harvest would not disappoint him, and there was still a long time anyway, so he could take his time. After leaving the mine, Liu first asked the monster puppet to seal the entrance of the cave, to prevent it from being discovered. After all, this was the result of his overpass labor, and he couldn't let others pick it up. Because he had stored the excavated soil and stones in the system space, he was not worried about being discovered by others. Then he got some weeds to cover up the signs of digging. Although there were still some traces left, Liu didn't believe that there would be anyone who would run to such an uninhabited place out of boredom, and so happened to discover his disguise. Newcomer and new book. The author doesn't have much experience. I hope friends who like it can collect it. Please recommend. Please comment please. Chapter 70. Finding a jade mine. Driving the flying skateboard all the way, because this time there was no time wasted on the road. It only took Liu half an hour to return to the villa, and at this time, the sky outside was just beginning to really brighten. Although he didn't sleep all night, Liu was still very energetic. After all, his current strength was already a master of the Zuan level, and he could still be full of energy without sleeping for a day. After eating a little breakfast casually and preparing special food for the elves, Liu drove to Lanjiang University. Although universities in this era are very relaxed, after all, graduation is about to begin, and the necessary graduation procedures are still needed. Although Liu's grades are not excellent in every subject, he has never failed a course, and he has not caused any trouble to the school throughout the 4 years of university. Therefore, the graduation procedures were handled smoothly. As for graduation defense and writing papers, they have long been eliminated in this era. What is emphasized in college now is to cultivate a person's ability in mind. As for how well you can speak and how well you can write, what's the use? Isn't it useless if you don't achieve anything after going out? So when Liu showed the proof of opening a shop in the center of Lanjiang City, the school easily approved it without any difficulty. After completing a series of graduation procedures, Liu officially graduated. As for the graduation ceremony on the last day, he didn't need anyone to advertise for him or attract popularity. Strength is the best reputation. He said something to a few brothers, but in the end Liu found that they had completed the graduation procedures early. He slandered those brothers in his heart for not taking him with him to complete the graduation procedures, but Liu was just thinking about it, and he didn't have any grudges in his heart. With the friendship between them, even if they haven't seen each other for a long time, as long as they get together again, the relationship will remain the same. The friendship in college is definitely not comparable to that of junior high school and high school. After making an appointment to have dinner together in the evening, Liu drove directly back to the villa. After all, he hasn't made a summary of his work last night. Liu is actually still looking forward to how much jade he can get in the system space, because everything that enters the system space will be under Liu's control. Of course, if the strength is extremely strong, and he doesn't know how much stronger it is, such as Cheomeng, he can't control it. And these jades are not among them. With a thought, those jades with many stones are directly separated, and then you can see jades of various colors flying everywhere in the sky, which is very spectacular. Then Liu decomposed the decomposed jades into basketball-sized pieces, and he threw away all the separated jade chips directly. Of course, Liu couldn't bear to throw away the separated small pieces of jade, but made them into some small jewelry such as earrings and rings, and he planned to take them to the store to sell. After summarizing, Liu found that there were nearly 600 basketball-sized jades in total. Among them, there are more than 100 of relatively high quality, and the energy contained is basically around 5,000 points. There are more than 300 of slightly worse quality, containing 2 or 3,000 energy, and the remaining more than 100 contain only 8 or 900 energy. In addition, there are many jades that do not have energy. After all, not every piece of jade has energy. As for the specific principle, Liu said, I don't know. However, these jades without energy can be used to make some jewelry and the like. They can be used as storefronts in stores to increase inventory. It is a good way to recycle waste and kill two birds with one stone. Liu roughly calculated that he had obtained nearly 1.2 million points of energy in total from his hard work last night. Although it sounds like a lot, it is actually not much. Compared with the 10 million points of energy required to hatch the mysterious elf egg, there is still a very long way to go. Thinking of this, Liu suddenly found that more than 1 million points of energy are not very useful at all. If the elf egg absorbs and uses it, it cannot be directly hatched. If it is exchanged for points, it is only 120 points. It is better not to exchange it. As for letting Charmander and the others absorb energy points to upgrade, Liu was actually very resistant in his heart. Since he realized his own path, Liu understood that only the power he cultivated himself was truly his own. Although the strength obtained by trickery can make you temporarily strong, it also limits your development. This can be seen from the fact that he has obtained the Spirit Stone for so long, but has never used it. He has always advocated that strength needs to be cultivated by oneself, rather than improved through external objects. The revolution has not yet succeeded, and comrades still need to work hard. Bored at home, until the evening, Liu left the villa, and came to Shilin Fui's house, taking Shilin Fui to party with the brothers. The party was in Xianshan. After all, we can't always go to the food stalls. After arriving at Xianshan, the boss Gao Feng and the others had already opened a private room, waiting for Liu and the others to arrive. The content of the party was very simple: drinking, eating, chatting, talking about the world and ideals. In short, whatever they thought of was what they thought of, and a group of people cherished this last time together. Although Liu and the others can get together again in the future, after entering society, for the sake of their families and careers, they can no longer be as willful and free as they were in college. They have something called responsibility. In order to shoulder this responsibility, they can only give up some things, and pursue some things, and ultimately to shoulder some things. This time, basically all the men were drunk, even Liu, who had reached the Zuan level. Fortunately, there were 3 sober women. With the help of the waiter, Liu and the others were sent to the room. In the room, Shilin Fui carefully helped Liu take off his clothes. Although she was a little shy, Shilin Fui took care of Liu until he fell asleep peacefully. Then Shilin Fui washed Liu's dirty clothes and hung them up to dry before she lay down on the bed and fell asleep tiredly. As for the lone Sun Bufan, it was tragic that no one took care of him. He was just thrown on the bed. As for what happened next, no one cared. Anyway, nothing would happen. This is the sadness of being a single dog. This is a new book by a new author. The author does not have much experience. I hope friends who like it can collect it. Please recommend, please comment, please do anything. Chapter 71, Home at Last. The next day, when Liu and his friends woke up, it was already noon. When Liu got up, before he had time to wash up, Shilin Fui came in with breakfast. After a quick art, Liu ate the breakfast sent by the beauty, then changed into the clothes that had been dried, and went to the hall with Shilin Fui. At this time, Liu's brothers had also gotten up, and everyone had a smile on their faces. Only Sun Bufan looked at Liu and his friends with a face full of resentment. Seeing Sun Bufan's look, everyone laughed. Third brother, bring your wife out as soon as possible. After all, she is a beauty, you can't let her down. Holding Yang Nan's waist, the fourth brother Linji joked to Sun Bufan, and the tone and action were simply full of sarcasm. Rolling his eyes, Sun Bufan snorted coldly and didn't respond. Seeing that Sun Bufan didn't want to talk about this topic, everyone didn't say anything more. No matter what decision Sun Bufan made, Liu and his friends would support him. This is a true brother. When they arrived in the city, the group separated. Liu also brought Shilin Fui to the shop in the city center, because he wanted Shilin Fui to come and see the shop first, give some suggestions, and see if there is anything that needs to be improved. Wow. Liu, you actually bought such a big shop. It must be a lot of money, right? Seeing that Liu bought such a big shop at such a prosperous stage, Shilin Fui was very shocked. Haha. That is to say, I sold the jade I got from gambling before, and then I had enough money to buy this shop. And in order to be able to bring my parents over, they would not agree without finding some excuses. Now that I have this shop, my parents will definitely agree to come and help me, and take care of you as their daughter-in-law. Liu put his hand around Shilin Fui's slender waist, and kissed her on the face and explained. Hey, who wants to be your daughter-in-law? I haven't agreed yet. Shilin Fui leaned in Liu's arms, and whispered after gently hitting Liu. HMM. That's out of your hands. After playing around with Shi Linfei for a while, the two discussed the details of opening a store, and then Li Yu sent Shi Linfei back home, while he went to handle some formalities required for opening a store. After a set of formalities, although it cost a lot of money and wasted a lot of time, there were no accidents at all, and he could get the business license in a week. After completing the formalities, it was almost evening, and Li Yu went straight back to the villa to prepare dinner for himself and the elves. After dinner, Li Yu drove the flying skateboard to the valley again. It was still lonely and deserted, and there was no sound of birds, but this was the environment Li Yu needed. The monster puppet was released, and the mining work was carried out again. Today's progress was smoother than yesterday. Perhaps it was because the main ore vein was dug, the harvest was more abundant, and the proportion of high-level energy stones increased significantly. The sun rose again, and the second day finally came. Li Yu had already returned to his villa, because today he was finally going back to his hometown. After waiting for so long, Li Yu finally graduated. He could go back openly without worrying about being misunderstood by his family. He drove to Shi Linfei's house. Under the happy gaze of his teacher's wife, Li Yu's car slowly disappeared at the end of the road. Li Yu, you said I would go back with you. Do you want to prepare some things? And will they like me? What should I say then? As soon as they got on the highway, they were still a long way from Li Yu's hometown. Shi Linfei began to ask questions nervously, fearing that something would go wrong and that Li Yu's parents would not like her. Don't worry. My parents are ordinary farmers and don't have so many requirements. What's more, you are so beautiful, they will definitely like you. Li Yu was very happy that Shi Linfei was willing to go home with him to meet his parents. This just proved that Shi Linfei really loved him and was willing to marry him, have children, and spend the rest of her life with him. Well, I can do it. After taking a few deep breaths, Shi Linfei clenched her fists and encouraged herself. No words along the way. Because Li Yu's hometown is not far from Lanjiang City, it only took them 6 or 7 hours to arrive at the town of their hometown. After buying some things in the town, Li Yu drove directly home. As for why he didn't buy in Lanjiang City, but went back to his hometown to buy things, it was because Li Yu's parents didn't like to eat those seafood. Having lived inland all their lives, they were simply not used to eating those fish and shrimps full of the smell of the sea. In their opinion, the real big pot rice with steamed buns is the most delicious. This is not to say that they are old-fashioned, because the whole of China is so simple and real. What they yearn for is to live a quiet life and never ask for any wealth and glory. For this reason, Li Yu felt that instead of buying it back and being given away by his parents, it would be better to buy some local specialties so that they would like to eat it, and he himself would also be regarded as fulfilling his responsibility as a son. Finally, they return home. After encouraging Shi Linfei again, Li Yu took Shi Linfei out of the car and walked into the house. The familiar 2-story building, the familiar cement-paved yard, and the familiar cherry tree left all the memories of Li Yu's childhood in this place. June is not the busy farming season, and Li Yu's parents have no farm work to do at this time, so Li Yu's father usually goes out to find some idle work, to earn some money, to supplement the family income, while Li Yu's mother is a typical housewife, washing clothes and cooking for Li Yu's father at home every day. Li Yu's family is not actually rich, but his parents rely on farming and odd jobs to support Li Yu's college expenses and Li Yu's sister's high school tuition. They even renovated the house and built a 2-story building. Although they are very hard and tired every day, they feel very relieved and satisfied when they think of their son and daughter. In the 4th year of college, Li Yu did not go home for a whole year because he was looking for a job. It can be said that if Li Yu had not accidentally obtained the system, he would definitely be like those college students who were unemployed after graduation and find a job that was as tiring as a dog, not knowing when he would be able to have a successful career, marry and have children. All of this, when Li Yu saw his mother's yellow face and simple clothes, suddenly came to his mind and heart, making Li Yu feel very uncomfortable. A new book by a new author. The author does not have much experience, and I hope friends who like it can collect it. Please recommend. Please comment please. Chapter 72 Daily Life at Home. Part 1. Mom, I'm back. Holding back the sadness in his heart, Liu looked at his mother who was washing clothes by the well and called out, Xiao. Xiao, why are you back? You didn't even say hello in advance. Aren't you about to graduate? Why are you back at this time? Looking up in surprise, she saw her son suddenly standing in front of her. Motherly was excited and complained to Liu. Mom, didn't I apply for graduation early? And this is not the point. Didn't you see who I brought back? Liu was helpless. Can't you see such a big person? This is your future daughter-in-law. It's okay for you to ignore her existence, but I'm going to suffer. Hey, who is this? Finally seeing Shilin next to Liu, Motherly was a little surprised and a little bit unbelievable. After all, no one knows a child better than his mother. She is very clear about Liu's dull personality. But I didn't expect that Liu would bring his girlfriend home this time, and she was such a beautiful girl. Li's mother felt that happiness came too suddenly, and she couldn't accept it for a while. Hello, auntie, I'm Liu's girlfriend. My name is Shilin. You can just call me Fifi. I'm very happy to meet you. After taking a deep breath, Shilin walked forward and said respectfully to Li's mother, oh, Fifi, right? It's his blessing that you like our Liu. Come on, don't stand, go sit in the house. Hearing Shilin self-introduction, Li's mother immediately smiled like a flower and directly pulled Shilin into the house. The two sat on the sofa, and then Li's mother began to talk about this and that enthusiastically, asking about Shilin's information, while Liu was blatantly ignored. I really forgot my son, after having a wife. Helpless. Without interrupting the conversation between his mother and Shilin, Liu could only act as a laborer and move the things he bought into the house one by one. While Liu was moving things, Li's mother didn't even look at him. Or maybe she saw him, but didn't want to pay attention. After all, her daughter-in-law was here, so it didn't matter whether her son was there or not. Although Shilin also saw Liu, she had to keep answering Li's mother's questions, so she could only helplessly cast a look of may the best come to you at Liu. With a helpless sigh, Liu could only continue to move things. The things were quickly moved, and then he sat on the sofa beside him. But in the end, Liu found awkwardly that he couldn't get a word in, so he could only go upstairs to clean up the room helplessly. After cleaning up the room, Liu didn't go downstairs. It would be more interesting to play computer upstairs than to go downstairs and be ignored. Otherwise, he would be depressed to death if he was always ignored. Time passed slowly, and Li's father finally came back at dinner time. Li's father was a typical farmer. He worked on the farm all day, and his skin was tanned yellow, even dark, and his body was a little hunched. Father Li, who is in his middle age, should be the strongest and energetic at the peak, but the burden of life and the pressure of responsibility had bent this upright man. Dad, you are back. Seeing his father's appearance, Liu really didn't know what to say, but he made a secret decision in his heart that he must repay them well. Xiao is back. Good. Father Li is like most fathers in China. He is not good at speaking and not good at expressing his feelings, but his love for his children is 100%, without any impurities. Well, Dad, come and eat. Pulling his father to sit at the dining table, because Liu bought all kinds of vegetables, fruits, and meat, he didn't need to go out to buy vegetables and could cook directly. While Liu was playing on the computer upstairs, Liu's mother and Shilin prepared dinner. Therefore, when Li's mother saw Liu coming downstairs, she scolded him, saying that he was too lazy to work and just sat there waiting for food. Hello, uncle, I'm Shilin, Liu's girlfriend. Nice to meet you. Shilin introduced herself to Li's father respectfully and obediently, fearing that she would leave a bad impression on them. Okay. Li's father didn't know how to say anything nice, but just kept on being happy, causing Li's mother to roll her eyes. What a loser. Fei, try this. This is what I'm best at. By the way, there's also this. This is the best for girls' skin. During the meal, Li's mother was there to pick up food for Shilin and directly picked up a large bowl full of food for Shilin. Shilin's appetite was small to begin with, and now seeing that Li's mother picked up so many dishes for her, she was a little entangled. Although she couldn't finish it, she didn't want to refuse Lee's mother's kindness, so she could only look at Liu pitifully. It was Liu's turn. He also made a helpless expression, which meant, you can only wish for the best. Shi Linfei rolled her eyes at Liu, and could only force herself to finish the big bowl of food. After the meal, Liu began to tell his parents about his plan, and at the end he expressed his hope that they must go to Lanjiang, even if not for him, but for their future grandchildren. This can be said to be an absolute big move, although Shi Linfei did not respond, just lowered her head shyly. But how could Lee's father and mother, who are old and shrewd, not see that the relationship between the two has reached the point of discussing marriage? In order to firmly grasp Shi Linfei, the beautiful daughter-in-law, Lee's mother must of course consider Liu wholeheartedly. And the best way is, of course, to keep urging them to get married early by Liu's side. And as for their son's hope that they would go to Lanjiang to enjoy happiness together, Lee's father and mother discussed it and actually had nothing to discuss, so they finally agreed. When they get there, they can not only help their son, but also take better care of their daughter, because with their daughter's grades, Liu's sister Lilinga, it is very certain that she can be admitted to Lanjiang University with her grades. And Lilinga is also willing to go to Lanjiang to go to college, because his brother Liu is also studying there. Although Liu had graduated, when she went there, she still wanted to follow in Liu's footsteps. Because Liu applied for graduation in advance, and the graduation time was early, Lilinga has not taken the college entrance examination yet, and there are still nearly 7 or 8 days. After the matter was agreed, Liu's parents also planned to explain everything at home. Although they went to live in Lanjiang City, the house at home, and the crops in the fields, had to be handed over to others to take care of. In addition, before leaving, you have to get together with relatives and friends who are close to you. Although you don't know how long you will come back in the future, you must at least have a form before leaving, and go through a formality. The necessary human relations are still needed. Newcomers and new books. The author does not have much experience. I hope friends who like it can collect it. Please recommend. Please review. Please do anything. Chapter 73 Daily Life at Home, Part 2. Moreover, he still had to visit relatives who were very close to him, such as Liu's mother's family and Liu's second uncle's family. These were all direct relatives. Blood was thicker than water. If you left without saying anything, it would be strange if others didn't stab you in the back. Because Liu was going to open a shop to do business, Lee's father and mother thought that Liu would not have extra money, so they did not ask him to help his relatives and give them a hand. They just wanted to visit them and visit them before leaving. If Liu knew this idea, he would definitely be depressed to death, because it was really difficult for him to take out more money in a short time. After all, taking out too much money would make his parents misunderstand, but it was still easy to take out a few million. Not to mention helping a few relatives. Even if he counted all the aunts and uncles, it would be more than enough. However, in order to avoid his parents' suspicion of him, Liu was a little vague when introducing his own shop, and did not say how much money he spent. When Liu went to bed at night, he thought that something incredible would happen, but who knew that Shi Linfei was pulled away by Li's mother, saying that they would sleep together in the guest room and talk by candlelight at night. Speechless, so tonight there were 2 more men alone in the empty room. No, there was only one, because Liu drove the flying skateboard at night and came to Myanmar to continue digging jade mines. But this time, he did not stay there to watch, but released the puppets and let them dig there, and Liu came to the system space to practice. There was no conversation all night. On the second day, Liu put the jade dug out by the puppets into the system space, and then drove the flying skateboard back home. No one could find that he did not return all night. After breakfast, Li's father went to work as usual. Although Liu persuaded him for a long time, Li's father said, if you take someone else's work, you have to do it, and even if you don't do it, you have to say it, otherwise what will he become? Speechless, Liu had to agree. He knew his father's character very well. Once he made a decision, no matter how many cows pulled him back, he could only watch his father's back helplessly. And Li's mother also went to Liu's second uncle's house to discuss entrusting the house and crops to them. Originally, Liu also wanted to go. After all, as a junior, it was right to visit the elders. After all, they hadn't seen each other for such a long time. But Lee's mother's words directly blocked him back. When can't you see your second uncle? Your most important task today is to take Fifi out, to play and take good care of her for me. You must not slack off, otherwise I will deal with you when I come back. Since his mother said so, Liu had to listen to her and take Shilin-Fei out to play. In fact, the scenery of Liu's hometown is still very good. Although there is no famous scenic spot, the small bridges, flowing water, green mountains and green waters, and the sunset are still very beautiful. I remember that, when Liu was a child, his favorite thing was to catch birds in the woods, fish and shrimp in the river, and steal people's vegetables and fruits in the fields with his friends. There was even a heavy rain. On the way home, Liu accidentally picked up a young black starling that was alone. From then on, Liu got up early every day to dig earthworms for it and took good care of it. But because of his young age and ignorance, he forgot to feed it once, so the black starling was starved to death. This became the biggest regret in Liu's life. All along, whenever I think of this incident, Liu feels very guilty. Recalling the memories of his childhood, Liu took Shilin-Fei to wander around the village. Along the way, they saw a lot of scenery and met many familiar people. When they saw Liu coming back with such a beautiful girlfriend, they couldn't help but tease him. He responded to the enthusiasm of the villagers one by one, without a trace of embarrassment or helplessness. Because he knew that these were simple farmers, and although their words were a bit direct, they seemed real. Finally, they came to the river, where the clear water flowed slowly. You could even see small stones in the river and some small fish and shrimps by the river, but these fish and shrimps were too small to be useful, and basically no one would care about them. There was also a pond next to their village, which was dug out by the villagers for fish farming. But because they lost money in the end, they left it there and nothing happened, and this place became a good place for everyone to fish. Because this pond is connected to the river, of course, the exit can be sealed when it is not needed, so many fish in the river enter the pond, and every time someone catches some very large fish in this pond, even some strange creatures. Because the weather today is a bit dark and gloomy, with a little bit of sultry heat, it is a good time to fish. When Liu and his friends came here, many people sat around the pond early. Most of them were fishing, and some were idle, and came to watch and play. After greeting the familiar people, he also borrowed a fishing rod, bait and other things, and started fishing with Shilin-Fei on the other side. As for why he didn't go with others, Liu said, "How can I talk about love and flirt with Shilin-Fei if I'm with those people? It's really a single dog at first glance." Maybe Liu was really lucky today. As soon as the fish hook was put on, a fish bit the hook, and it was caught. The most important thing is that it was a big fish, at least a carp of about 2 or 3 pounds. "Liu, you are so awesome. I want to try it too. Please teach me." Seeing that Liu caught a big fish so easily, Shilin-Fei also wanted to try it. "Well, look, the bait should be put like this, not too much, otherwise they will be full, and not too little, otherwise the fish will see your hook." Teaching step by step, Liu also began to take advantage openly, causing Shilin-Fei to roll her eyes back, but Liu was not self-conscious. Instead, he held Shilin-Fei's hand even harder. Let's not talk about the ambiguity between Liu and Shilin-Fei for now. When they were fishing together, time passed slowly, and soon it was noon. I don't know whose voice reminded Liu that it was time to go home for dinner. He saw that it was already past 12 o'clock, and hurriedly put down the fishing rod, pulled Shilin-Fei and the few fish they caught and ran home. Sure enough, when they got home, Lee's mother had already prepared the meal and put it on the table waiting for them to go back, and Lee's father didn't come back because the boss provided lunch at noon. "Humph. Fifi is back, come and eat. It's almost 12:30, you should be hungry." Seeing Liu finally come back, Lee's mother glared at him, but when she looked at Shilin-Fei, her face was full of smiles, and she was more affectionate to Liu than her own son. The meal ended in a weird atmosphere. After dinner, Liu didn't go anywhere. He just stayed at home and watched TV to kill time. This is a new book by a new author. The author doesn't have much experience. I hope friends who like it can collect it. Please recommend, please comment, please do anything. Chapter 74 Confession to Master Lin Fei. Time passed slowly, and 3 days passed just like that. During these 3 days, during the day, Li Yu would take Shi Lin Fei to play around, and at night, although Li Yu also wanted something incredible to happen. However, because Li's mother strongly requested that the two sleep separately, Shi Lin Fei was naturally very shy about this, and she had never considered the idea of sleeping in the same bed with Li Yu. Although Li Yu was also helpless, he did not pursue anything too much. After all, what his mother thought was still reasonable. The older generation really could not accept pregnancy before marriage, and this would just be convenient for Li Yu to go to Myanmar to mine. Anyway, there would be a lot of time in the future, so there was no need to rush. Instead, it was the top priority to collect enough jade as soon as possible. After so many days of hard work by Li Yu, the energy contained in the jade he dug was as high as 8 billion, plus the jade without energy. It can be said that as long as Li Yu is willing to sell all these jades, he will definitely become a billionaire among billionaires in an instant. Li Yu's sister Lilinga finally came back today. There will be 3 days of rest and adjustment before the college entrance examination, so students will go home after the holiday to make the final sprint before the college entrance examination. When Lilinga came home and saw that her brother was also at home, and he also brought back a very beautiful sister-in-law, she was very happy for her brother. After all, Li Yu didn't have a girlfriend in 4 years of college, and the whole family was worried about whether he could find a wife. If Li Yu knew what his family thought, he would be depressed and angry to death. Although you are telling the truth, can you not be so direct? Brother, did you really buy a villa in Lanjiang and open a jewelry store? You are not lying, are you? Or are you being kept by your sister-in-law? Lilinga was very curious, and she kept asking questions in Li Yu's ear, and the questions were so speechless. Okay, the more you talk, the more outrageous it is. You should see for yourself. Li Yu was afraid that she would say something earth-shattering if she continued to talk, so he quickly took out the ID from his bag to let her see enough so as not to bombard his ears again. Wow. Brother, you are so amazing. When I go there, I can live in the villa. Haha, I'm happy just thinking about it. It turned out to be true. Lilinga thought Li Yu was bragging at first. Now seeing the ID, she was immediately happy to imagine her future life. Ignoring Lilinga who was going crazy there, Li Yu began to think about how to tell Shi Lin Fei about the clone. Although the clone was also him to a certain extent, Li Yu just couldn't accept it. What if he went to the magical continent and Shi Lin Fei kissed with an outsider? But after thinking about it, Li Yu didn't know what excuse he had. In the end, he decided to tell Shi Lin Fei directly that after such a long time of getting along, he had given all his heart. No matter what would happen in the future, he would not regret this decision. Moreover, Li Yu was very confident in Shi Lin Fei. Li Yu firmly believed that Shi Lin Fei would not do anything that would be unfavorable to him, and Li Yu was willing to take this risk. After thinking through all this, the gloomy expression on Li Yu's face gradually disappeared, revealing a bright smile. Seeing Li Yu suddenly laugh, everyone was very confused, but they didn't say anything. They all thought he was happy because his sister came back. At noon, Li Yu's family invited a large group of relatives, villagers and neighbors to the restaurant in the town, and booked the entire restaurant. It was a reunion, a farewell to them, and also a cheer for Lilinga before the college entrance examination. The relatives present this time were basically relatives of Li Yu's lineage, such as Li Yu's second uncle's family, Li Yu's mother's family, and neighbors who were close to Li Yu's family, and Li Emo's family, who was also Li Yu's elementary school classmate. There were also some aunts and uncles. In short, all those who could be invited were invited. There was nothing that could be done about those who could not be invited. Party. A pleasant gathering of relatives and friends finally ended amid the laughter of everyone. After seeing off the last relative and friend, Li Yu first sent his parents home, and then drove to the city with his sister and Shi Lin Fei. In the past, he had no opportunity and no financial strength, so he basically never bought anything for his sister, but now it is different. With money, he must make up for all the regrets. For his relatives, Li Yu can devote everything, as long as he can make them happy. Because of Shi Lin Fei's existence, Li Yu does not have to worry about choosing clothes. After shopping for 3 hours in a row, even with Liu's Zuan level strength, he felt a little exhausted. However, when he saw his sister's happy expression, Liu was actually very satisfied. Because when he officially went to the magical continent for adventure, he didn't know when he could come back once. And Liu didn't want to return to Earth at every turn. After all, if he wanted to become stronger, he would not get the strength he wanted without making enough efforts. After returning home, there was another family reunion dinner. Then, under everyone's strange eyes, Liu took Shilinfei to the room upstairs. Pulling the shy Shilinfei, Liu came to his room, and then without waiting for her to ask any questions, the two disappeared instantly, and when they reappeared, they were already in the system world. What? Seeing the sudden change in the scene in front of her, Shilinfei's eyes widened, and her eyes showed an extremely shocked look, and she was speechless for a while. Liu, you actually... Shilinfei stuttered, and couldn't even speak clearly. That's right, in fact, I have always had a lot of things that I haven't told you, and I dare not tell you. I'm worried that after telling you, it will bring endless troubles to me, and even my family. The moment you agreed to go home with me, I understood that I finally knew that you are the one who can go on with me. So I decided to tell you all my secrets, without any concealment. Staring at Shilinfei, Liu said this seriously, wanting to show his sincerity to Shilinfei, and wanting to see the sincerity in the other's eyes. Liu, Shilinfei didn't know how to respond to Liu's sudden words, and just stared at him blankly. Fei, actually, just 1 month ago, I was suddenly struck by lightning, but I don't know why nothing happened to me, and I came to a mysterious place. That place turned out to be the Pokémon world in the anime, where I inexplicably gained the ability to travel back and forth between the Earth and the Pokémon world. This is a new book by a new author, and the author doesn't have much experience. I hope friends who like it can collect it. Please recommend, please comment, please do anything. Chapter 75, Agreement. Just like that, I changed from an ordinary, unknown, graduating college student to a person with billions of assets and infinite magical powers. At the beginning, I was sad and painful, but I was also happy, excited, and even more confused. But in the end I understood that, since God has given me this opportunity, I must seize it firmly. With this opportunity, let us and our families live a better life. As for whether there is danger or conspiracy, what is there to worry about? Since he has given me all this, and we have enjoyed it all, what if all the abilities disappear one day? At least we are still together, and have spent so many good times together. Fifi, are you willing to bear the pressure of this secret with me? Liu told Shilinfei carefully, word by word, everything that had happened, since he traveled through time, and finally looked at Shilinfei with expectation. Liu, no matter what happens in the future, I'm willing to bear all the unknowns with you now. As long as I can be with you, I'm willing to do anything. To be honest, Liu, I didn't expect you to have experienced so many things. I thought you just got the inheritance of the immortals. Your experience is it's really incredible. Moreover, you have concealed it from me for so long. If I don't agree to go home with you, you plan to keep it from me and never tell me, right? Shilinfei looked at Liu with a firm gaze and said the words that Liu expected, and finally teased Liu mischievously. Am I not afraid of bringing danger to you? After all, if such a thing is known to others, I don't know if I will be caught and dissected. But in front of various forces, we will never have a good end. The strength of those forces is definitely not something we can resist now. Seeing that Shilinfei accepted her magical and weird experience so quickly, Liu was also very happy. But as for the question of hiding Shilinfei, Liu said, this is also for your good. HMPH. You still have a conscience, so let it go this time. If you hide something from me next time, and you keep it a secret for so long, I will never let you off easily. Shilinfei threatened with a light snort, waving her pink fist. But how powerful is this? Well, I promise you, let's take on everything together in the future. Liu whispered softly, holding Shilinfei in his arms. Although Liu's face was full of happy and relaxed smiles, there was a trace of worry and confusion in his eyes. As for why, it was unknown. He accompanied Shilinfei to play everywhere in the system space, and Liu also introduced his elves to Shilinfei, especially Mutuo. The moment he saw Mutuo, Shilinfei was so excited that she wanted to hug him, but Mutuo disappeared with a teleportation. Well, Liu, does Mutuo dislike me? Did I do something to make him unhappy? Shilinfei asked with some concern. It's okay, he is just like that, don't pay attention to him. Liu was helpless about Mutuo and could only comfort Shilinfei. After playing with Charmander and the others for a while, Liu was very happy to see Shilinfei's envious and jealous expression, eager to have her own elf. After all, if it weren't for the system, he wouldn't have fulfilled his childhood dream, come to the Pokémon world and have his own elf, and adventure in various thrilling places, meet more adventurers, and meet more magical and powerful elves. But Liu certainly wouldn't let his woman down. Since she also wants to have her own elf, Liu must satisfy her. But when he thought of this problem, Liu had a headache again. Because if he didn't accidentally have the memory of an orphan, then it would not be so easy for him to adventure freely in the magical continent. And Shilinfei didn't have this benefit. Without an identity, she would definitely not be able to appear at will in the magical continent. If they were discovered by the Alliance, they wouldn't mind studying the aliens carefully. Forget it, at most I can ask Fifi to be careful. Anyway, the magic continent will not check the population. As for the elves, well, just give the elf egg to her. Let's decide it like this. Unable to think of any other way, Liu simply stopped thinking and directly gave the elf egg that had never hatched to Shilinfei, just killing two birds with one stone. He brought Shilinfei to the palace he built specially, and Liu enthusiastically introduced his construction ideas to Shilinfei. Seeing Shilinfei's amazed look, Liu felt satisfied. Fifi, I'm going to dig jade mines in a while. You can play here. You can also practice if you don't want to play. The spiritual energy here is still very rich, which is very helpful for your practice. After playing around with Shilinfei for a while, seeing that it was already late, Liu said to Shilinfei, and prepared to leave the system world. Liu, then you should be careful. The situation over there is so chaotic, be careful not to encounter danger. Shilinfei said worriedly. Don't worry. With the flying skateboard, I don't believe anyone can stop me. Liu patted his chest confidently. But what Liu didn't know was that this trip to Myanmar almost cost him his life and he couldn't come back. When he came to Myanmar again, it was already midnight, when it was late at night and there was no one around. The sky was particularly dark tonight, and there was a strong wind whistling past, making the leaves around rustle. Seeing this scene, even Liu, who was always bold, couldn't help but shrink his neck, feeling a little inexplicably scared. After tidying up his clothes, Liu released the monster puppet again, and the mining operation officially began. Before entering the mine, Liu felt inexplicably palpitating in his heart, and his hair stood up all over his body. He didn't know why. Because he wanted to give the elf egg to Shilinfei, he needed to work harder to mine and try to get more energy stones. Otherwise, with his current energy stones, it would only be enough to hatch the elf egg. If you want to use energy stones to exchange points, or sell energy stones to exchange for money in the magical continent, it is very difficult without enough energy stones. While Liu was mining, a team of fully armed soldiers and a group of mysterious people covered in black clothes, led by a black-clothed man who was obviously the leader, were moving quickly towards him. This is a new book by a new author. The author does not have much experience. I hope friends who like it can collect it. Please recommend, please comment please. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.